Chapter 1334. After losing 3 rounds in a row, Adam came in an aggressive manner and confidently competed, but in the end, he was slapped in the face. This 4th round, they absolutely cannot lose. If they lose again, they will lose all face of the 8-Nation Alliance army. Commander Adam, who will you send for the 4th round? Xia Hao did not hide her happy smile. She looked at Adam and spoke to make Adam suffer internal injuries. If you lose again, you won't have any face, right? In China, although there is a saying to leave some face for others, that is for guests. For shameless people like you, we will not let you win any of these 7 rounds. Don't be too proud. Your luck has run out. Adam gritted his teeth. Your experts have all come out, and I still have a lot of experts on my side. Next, you can't rely on luck to win. Then, Commander Adam, please send out the person for the 4th round. Xia Hao said with a smile. Kid, you're courting death. Adam flew into a rage. He had been angry for a long time today. Little Gyro, it's your turn to perform. Hi. A short man with a height of 1.6 meters nodded. His figure suddenly turned into a phantom and disappeared in front of everyone. When he reappeared, he was already standing on the stage. Ninja. Li Fan touched his chin and looked at the ninja in front of him. He is also from the Koga clan? But it doesn't look like it. Takeda Lan told him that the Koga clan of Japan has strict requirements for the ninjas under them. First of all, the disciples must wear the corresponding ninja attire. Genin have their own attire, Chunin have their own attire, and Jonin have their own attire. This is a strict requirement for the disciples, and absolutely no mistakes are allowed. But this ninja in front of him, he is wearing a black gown, and no one knows where he came from. Barker. The short man called Little Gyro looked at Xia Hao and sneered, this round, who will die? The short man could speak Chinese, and this time, Le Xiaohu could not help but jump out. Come. Let this young master play with you, shorty. Le Xiaohu was young, and he was not tall in the past. But after practicing martial arts on the island for a year, when he came back, he had grown quite a bit. After he finished mocking, he lowered his body and instantly flew over 10 meters away from the stage, directly arriving in front of the shorty. Black Tiger Steel's heart. Le Xiaohu liked to fight fast. He came up and clawed at the ninja's chest. All right. The martial artists watching from the sidelines applauded. Le Xiaohu's, Black Tiger Steel's heart, was almost textbook standard. Moreover, Le Xiaohu's moves were as fast as lightning. Even if it was him, it would be difficult to block his ordinary Black Tiger Steel's the heart. Li Fan was also gratified, but he knew that the ninja of the island country would not be defeated so easily. Sure enough, the ninja's body suddenly turned into a piece of dead wood and fell to the ground with a thud. Hey! Le Xiaohu was a little surprised. This Japanese could transform? He suddenly remembered that ninjas seemed to have this trick. At this time, he felt a chill behind him. Le Xiaohu fiercely turned his head, and the ninja had already appeared behind him. At the same time, the ninja was holding a katana in his hand, fiercely slashing at his head. This ninja's assassination technique was indeed brutal. If it was an ordinary person, he would definitely be killed in one move. However, Le Xiaohu had also gone through thousands of hardships. He instantly sensed the danger and leaped back. Tiger leap. A tiger leap, how ferocious was it? Originally, Li Fan mastered the tiger leap, which was used to pounce on the enemy and subdue the enemy in one move. However, after Le Xiaohu learned it, he also made some changes. Now, this tiger leap could not only be used to subdue the enemy, but also to retreat. Le Xiaohu leaped 5 meters away, causing the ninja's assassination to fail. Stupid. Jiang Yi's reprimanding voice came over. You're the chief disciple. Don't tell me you didn't notice the strangeness of this shorty's movement technique. What's the hurry? Young master is just playing with him. Le Xiaohu was somewhat unconvinced. His impatient temper could not be changed in a short time. Haha, Little Gyro is a genetically modified ninja. Adam laughed. No matter who he wants to kill, he has never failed. Is that so? Le Xiaohu snorted. He leaped over and attacked the shorty fiercely. However, the shorty's movement technique was strange, and he even used a clone technique to disrupt Le Xiaohu's attack rhythm. Li Fan gently frowned. If this went on, it would not be beneficial to Le Xiaohu. After all, Le Xiaohu's physical strength was not limitless. As long as the shorty found an opportunity, he could kill Le Xiaohu in one move. "Husband, do you really not need help?" Chunna could not help but ask. "No hurry, let's wait and see first." Li Fan crossed his arms and stood in the crowd, enduring the uneasiness. Le Xiaohu was his chief disciple. If he could not even beat a strengthened ninja, then he might as well give up on martial arts. The surrounding martial artists were also discussing. Looking at Le Xiaohu, who was getting more and more tired, they also felt that it was dangerous. "This master's chief disciple is not that great. Are we going to lose?" "Sigh, I didn't expect the chief disciple to have such a name." The voices of these people seemed to make Le Xiaohu more and more impatient. He became uneasy, and the rhythm of his attacks became more chaotic. He crushed a few shorties in a row, but they were all the opponent's clones. Meanwhile, Le Xiaohu's foot was suddenly tripped by a rope. He staggered and fell to the ground. Everyone shook their heads. "It's over, Le Xiaohu is dead for sure." The shorty laughed strangely as he appeared behind Le Xiaohu, and the katana in his hand slashed toward Le Xiaohu's neck. At this critical moment, a black-furred tiger man suddenly popped out from behind Le Xiaohu. This guy was more than 3 meters tall, and his tiger claws were like sharp blade. The tigerman's claws pierced through the shorty's lower abdomen and lifted him into the air. Blood flowed down the tiger's claws and spilled on the ground. Everyone was dumbfounded, and Adam's mouth was wide open. Le Xiaohu sat on the ground, smiling at the shorty who was stabbed in the air by his martial god True Body. "If it wasn't for Elder Shia not allowing the young master to kill, you would be dead now. You shorty, your strength is not bad, and your movements are strange, but you are still too far away from me, the young master." Only then did everyone realize that Le Xiaohu was just playing with the shorty. Let him be happy first, then despair later. Too weak. Le Xiaohu swung his hand, and the shorty's body was thrown to the ground. "Is there no strong opponent?" Le Xiaohu sighed as he returned to Elder Shia's back. Adam was so angry that he almost crushed his white teeth. How could this be? They actually lost the 4th round. Chapter 1335. They were defeated in the 4th round. This made Adam feel that they had come all the way here just to humiliate themselves. This so-called 7 Knights villa actually had many experts. It was just a Huaxia village. Why was it so difficult to conquer? Adam was extremely furious, and also extremely indignant. He was the commander of America's Team A. With his combat power, he did not take these Huaxia people seriously. But now, it seemed that he was wrong, and he was ridiculously wrong. He could not explain himself after losing 4 rounds in a row. What was the point of fighting or not fighting the remaining 3 rounds? Just as Adam was getting angry, a gloomy voice came from behind. "It's so lively. Why don't you count me in?" Everyone turned to look and immediately frowned. Jiang Feng, who was dressed in a long white robe, was waving his fan as he slowly walked over. Behind him were 3 Imperial Army generals dressed in white and black robes. Li Fan recognized the one on the left. It was the beautiful Shui Wuxin, Jiang Feng's fangirl. Shui Wuxin was still so cold and elegant. She attracted the attention of many men just by standing there. It was a pity that Shui Wuxin only had Jiang Feng in her eyes and in her heart. Wherever she went, her eyes never left her master. Li Fan did not know the 2 on the right. One of them was a boorish, dark-skinned man, while the other was a kind-looking, fair-faced scholar. The 2 of them followed behind Jiang Feng as generals. Their strength was definitely not weak. Behind them were the other generals of the Royal Army. There were 7 to 8 warrior-level experts. No one knew where so many experts had come from. But Li Fan knew Jiang Feng. He had his own methods. He was extremely cunning. After climbing to the position of the Royal Army's commander, he could naturally manage the Royal Army in good order. He was different from that useless Sima Hui. The Sima family had been glorious for several centuries, but it was getting worse with each generation. How could they compare to Jiang Feng, who had endured hardship until now? Oh, it's Commander Jiang. Adam's expression relaxed when he saw Jiang Feng. The royal guards belonged to the Dove faction of China and were on good terms with the United States. They were considered to be on the same side. The Dove faction also hoped to launch Dragon God Number 1. However, they hoped to launch it together with the US so that they could maintain a friendly relationship with the US. Furthermore, once the Dragon God Number 1 was launched, the Hawk faction would be in charge in China, and the Dove faction would lose their power. Therefore, no matter what, he had to obtain Dragon God Number 1's control chip. Commander Adam, you said you were coming. Why didn't you tell me so that I could be the host? Jiang Feng and Adam chatted cheerfully and wittily, causing the heroes of the martial arts world to curse. However, Jiang Feng ignored them. Instead, he was as carefree as a spring breeze. I came here in a hurry. Sorry for disturbing you. Adam and Jiang Feng began to chat. Tui. Jiang Feng, how shameless. You actually colluded with a barbarian. Traitor. Shameless bastard. Hurry up and get out of the Seven Heroes Villa. Everyone cursed without stop. Jiang Feng ignored them, but Shui Wuxin was not having any of it. A man riding a horse in the west wind was cursing happily. His mouth was filled with profanities, not even sparing Jiang Feng's 18 generations of ancestors. At this time, Shui Wuxin suddenly took out a golden tasseled black whip from her waist and held it in her hand. Following that, with a slap, the horse-riding man's ear was directly smashed. He covered his ear and screamed, causing everyone to feel a chill down their spine. My goodness, what a fast whip technique. Whoever dares to speak rudely to the Commander-in-Chief again will end up like this. The Jade Lady's rage shocked everyone present. Shui Wuxin raised her whip and warned, next time, it won't be the ear but the mouth. Hey! Li Fan was slightly surprised. Husband. Chana tilted her head and looked at Li Fan, not knowing what he was puzzled about. This Shui Wuxin used to practice sword techniques. Why is she playing with a whip now? Master, this is the Whitebone whip technique. Dong saw it clearly and said, this is the Whitebone sect's secret technique that has been lost for a long time. Heh. It seems like Jiang Feng is quite amazing. He actually managed to research this lost technique. Li Fan couldn't help but want to praise Jiang Feng even though they were enemies. Commander Adam, you are guests from afar. This Seven Heroes Villa is so arrogant that they even bully guests. As the Commander-in-Chief of the Royal Army, I really can't stand it anymore. How about this, you guys take a good rest first. For the remaining 3 matches, let me fight on your behalf. Jiang Feng's words were also very shameless, but with Shui Wuxin standing there, no one among the onlookers dared to speak carelessly. Elder Xia, what do you think of my idea? Jiang Feng's gaze fell on Xia Yi. Since Commander-in-Chief Jiang wants to stand up for these ill-intentioned barbarians, what else can I say? Xia Yi coldly snorted, Jiang Yi, you fight this match. Her words caused Jiang Feng's expression to stiffen. Jiang Yi carried the extraordinary sword that Li Fan passed to her and slowly walked onto the stage. Jiang Feng clenched his fists, but he quickly calmed down. Elder Xia, this isn't too good, right? Why not? Xia Yi's voice became colder. Since you are willing to be the barbarian's lackey, then let our sword-bearing disciples protect the prestige of Hua Xia. Protect the prestige of Hua Xia. Jiang Feng's expression also became colder. He closed his fan and pointed at Xia Yi. Hua Xia is a country of etiquette. In the past 2 years, we have been on good terms with other countries. Adam and the others are just guests who want to tour around your villa and exchange pointers with you while they're at it, getting to know each other better. But look at what you have done. You have injured and crippled these guests who came from afar. Is this what a country of etiquette should do? You guys are destroying the friendship between the 2 countries. You have evil intentions. Li Fan wanted to curse. Jiang Feng's mouth could really turn black into white. This person is really asking for a beating. He is inverting right and wrong and making false accusations. Xia couldn't hold it in anymore. Sir, I can't take it anymore. Don't be anxious. Li Fan gently pressed his hand on Xia's shoulder. I am not anxious. Why are you anxious? This person is full of tricks. I want to see what he has up his sleeves. Xia had no choice but to suppress her anger. Seriously, to deal with this kind of fellow, can't he just directly kill him? Commander Jiang, this is also the first time I have seen a traitor speak in such a righteous manner. Xia Yi's words were all kinds of rude, and the little girl was holding back her anger. As the temporary person in charge of the villa, how could she let the villa be humiliated when her junior brother was not around? Chapter 1336. Jiang Yi even took out his extraordinary sword and pointed it at his elder brother. All right. Jiang Feng sighed. I don't blame you for not understanding me. Wang Yi, why don't you spar with this kid? Jiang Feng instructed. The black-faced man behind him immediately cupped his hands and took 2 steps forward. Then, without moving his knees, he slid onto the stage as if he had teleported. Good Qinggong. Oh my god, this guy's Qinggong is amazing. This is Wandering Soul Steps. Dong muttered with her hands behind her back and her head tilted. Wandering Soul Steps. Li Fan looked at Dong. He didn't know what she had figured out. Master, the Wandering Soul Steps is a long-lost Qinggong. It was passed down from a demonic sect in the past. Wandering Soul Steps and Soundless Saber are a set. If he knows Wandering Soul Steps, he should know Soundless Saber too. Li Fan sighed inwardly. Dong was really an encyclopedia of martial arts. Jin Yong once wrote about Wang Yuyan. Li Fan felt that both of them had their own merit. The black-faced man spoke up as soon as Dong finished speaking. I am General Wang Yi of the Royal Guards. You should be punished for insulting the Royal Guards. Is that so? Jiang Yi sneered. Cut the crap. Make your move. You're a junior. I don't want to bully you. How about I give you the first 3 moves? Wang Yi looked like he was being generous. No need. What was Jiang Yi's personality? He was very arrogant. Ever since she became a sword-bearing disciple, she became even more arrogant, like the plum blossoms in her yard. Plum blossoms, orchid, bamboo, chrysanthemum were the 4 gentlemen of flowers, and the plum blossom was the leader. With the pride of the plum blossom, how could it accept such a favor? Jiang Yi let go of the extraordinary sword and sent it into the sky. Then, like a slithering snake, she appeared in front of Wang Yi in an instant, almost sticking to the ground. Spirit snake comes out of its hole. Jiang Yi's snake claw went straight for Wang Yi's throat. Her attack was cunning and vicious, and it came from a strange angle. It was extremely difficult for an ordinary person to defend against it. Fut! Jiang Yi's palm pierced through the opponent's throat. However, she immediately turned around and lashed out with her leg. Pa! Wang Yi's body was forced to take a step back. He slid backwards, dodging Jiang Yi's kick. Amazing! Wang Yi praised, you're ruthless enough. There's no point in talking anymore. Jiang Yi suddenly used Spirit Snake comes out of its hole again, its snake claws stabbing over. Wang Yi snorted coldly. This time, he did not use the Wandering Soul Steps. Instead, he pulled out the saber at his waist in an attempt to avoid Jiang Yi's attack. However, Jiang Yi's hand shook. Like a real snake that had come to life, it directly wrapped around Wang Yi's wrist and locked Wang Yi's arm. At the same time, the extraordinary sword finally fell and was caught by Jiang Yi. Azure dragon piercing the sun, Jiang Yi unleashed a dragon-subduing sword. This extraordinary sword instantly stabbed in front of Wang Yi. Wang Yi frowned. He could clearly see the power of this sword. Wang Yi's temper flared up. He circulated his power and forcefully shook off Jiang Yi's body. Although Jiang Yi's martial arts were exquisite, in terms of strength, he was still weaker than Wang Yi, who had practiced martial arts for so many years. However, Jiang Yi was able to force out Wang Yi's strength in 2 moves, which was also extraordinary. Are you still going to let me have 3 moves? Jiang Yi asked. Wang Yi was unhappy. With his strength, he was actually looked down upon by a little girl. Damn it. When did you learn the dragon-subduing sword? Le Xiaohu was very dissatisfied. This was a consummate skill that his master had just comprehended. Before master left, he learned a few moves. You little girl, you're too cunning. When master comes back, I want to learn it too. Le Xiaohu stomped his feet in anger. Silent saber, shadow chasing. Wang Yi ignored the two of them, but he could see Jiang Yi's strength. If he gave in to this little girl, he would definitely suffer a great loss. The most important thing now was to complete the commander's order and defeat this little girl. Wang Yi raised the long saber in his hand and instantly appeared in front of Jiang Yi. At the same time, the saber left an afterimage and went straight for Jiang Yi's arm. Shua! A cold light flashed. It was obviously such a powerful saber, but it was silent. Coupled with Wang Yi's ghostly wandering soul steps, it caught people off guard. Wang Yi's saber technique was absolutely terrifying, but Jiang Yi did not dodge. The extraordinary sword in her hand twisted around Wang Yi's saber. She actually forcefully used the treasured sword to attack with the spirit snake entanglement, locking Wang Yi's long saber. At the same time, the spirit snake shadow flashed behind Jiang Yi and directly bit Wang Yi's neck. Martial God true body. If this bite landed, Wang Yi would probably die or be crippled. But at this time, Wang Yi roared and a powerful force suddenly burst out from his body. He shook off Jiang Yi's treasured sword, and then with a slash, he shattered Jiang Yi's martial god true body. Following that, he kicked Jiang Yi's lower abdomen and sent her flying. Jiang Yi flew more than 10 meters away and landed at the edge of the stage. She half knelt on the ground, leaning on her treasured sword as blood flowed out of her mouth. Obviously, Jiang Yi's injuries were not light. Shameless. Le Xiaohu cursed, you're obviously a martial artist, but you rely on a broken chip to increase your combat power. To think that you've learned such good martial arts, it's simply a waste. Mph, this is also my strength. Wang Yi held his treasured saber and said without any trace of politeness, the dragon chip in my body has been activated to the highest level. Combined with my internal energy, it's unparalleled in the world. Relying on this kind of method to become a grandmaster of a generation, what trash. Although he often quarreled with Jiang Yi, after all, they were from the same sect. Seeing Jiang Yi being bullied, Le Xiaohu was the first to protest. Jiang Yi still wanted to make a move, but the moment she stood up, blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. Jiang Yi half knelt again, it seemed that her injuries were not light. Le Xiaohu immediately stepped forward and helped Jiang Yi up. I don't need your help. Jiang Yi still wanted to struggle, but she did not have any strength left. Don't try to be brave, look at how you are. Le Xiaohu choked with anger, when master comes back and sees you like this, his heart will ache again. I'm sorry master. Jiang Yi was somewhat angry at herself. It's not your fault, Le Xiaohu said as he supported Jiang Yi and was about to leave. Jiang Feng seemed to want to walk over, but hesitated for a moment and stopped. Give this great recover pill to Miss Jiang. Jiang Feng called over a subordinate and asked him to give Jiang Yi a healing pill. However, Jiang Yi threw away the medicine bottle and followed Le Xiaohu back to Xiaohu's side, then ate a rejuvenation pill. Li Fan shook his head, thinking, I'm afraid that the knot in this pair of brother and sister's heart will never be solved. You guys have lost this round. Jiang Feng finally retracted his gaze and once again looked at Xiaohu. Who will you send for the next round? Chapter 1337. Xiaohu asked Takeda Lan to check on Jiang Yi's injury. It was just some internal injuries, not too serious. After taking the rejuvenation pill, it was obvious that he was much better. Let me fight the next round. Jiang Yi once again volunteered, this time, I will not be careless. Continue to recuperate. Moreover, you have fought once, you can't fight again. Xiaohu pulled Jiang Yi back, this time, take it as a lesson for you. Yes. Jiang Yi also knew that she had underestimated her opponent this time. She actually made a mistake that even Le Xiaohu did not make. Next round, let me fight. Imperial concubine Ju flicked her sleeves and was about to go on the stage. She wore a long white muslin dress. With a flick of her sleeves, she lightly flew more than 10 meters and landed on the stage. This woman was like a fairy that had descended to the mortal world. Her peerless beauty and graceful figure had truly mesmerized countless men. In the Seven Knights Villa, the #1 beauty was Imperial concubine Ju. Although there were countless beauties in the Seven Knights Villa, compared to Imperial Concubine Ju, they all paled in comparison. Imperial Concubine Ju Wanshu, the most beautiful woman in the world. This exquisite beauty was actually willing to join the Seven Knights Villa, which made many people envious. Commander-in-Chief, please let me go. When the pale-faced scholar saw Imperial Concubine Ju, his eyes suddenly lit up. Jiaola, have you thought about it? When Jiang Feng saw Imperial Concubine Ju, he also felt fear in his heart. This woman was not ordinary. Yes, Your Excellency. Jiaola walked forward with a smile on his face. He lightly jumped on the battle stage and landed on the stage. He looked at Imperial Concubine Ju on the opposite side. Beauty, you are the undead evil Buddha, right? Seeing you today, you are indeed a peerless beauty. This young man has admired you for a long time. Jiaola also imitated Jiang Feng, holding a folding fan in his hand, a somewhat hypocritical smile on his face, and a pair of eyes kept staring at Imperial Concubine Ju. Imperial Concubine Ju did not speak, but directly appeared in front of Jiaola and raised her hand to slap him. Jiaola was taken aback. He thought to himself, how can this beautiful woman make a move just like that? She doesn't play by the rules at all. However, he was after all a Grandmaster-level expert, and almost subconsciously opened his folding fan to block in front of him. Pa! Jiaola was sent flying by the slap. His body skidded through the air for more than 10 meters. It took a lot of effort for him to stabilize his body. Beauty, you're so impatient. Jiaola suppressed his internal energy and raised his head to look at Imperial Concubine Ju again. Li Fan watched from the side and could not help but snicker in his heart. This Jiaola was really stupid. What kind of temper did Imperial Concubine Ju have? How could she endure such humiliation? Imperial Concubine Ju raised her hand and a green light appeared in her palm. Jiaola stood there. He didn't think much of it at first, but his expression quickly changed. This is, Jiaola felt the inner energy in his body being sucked away. What kind of technique was this? It could actually absorb a person's inner force through the air. Imperial Concubine Ju's Kung Fu had already reached perfection. Although she was the one who taught the world-shaking 9 Buddha Sutra, at this moment, she had already used this Kung Fu as a jumping board, completely discarding all the moves. For Imperial Concubine Ju, every movement of her hand or foot was a technique. Especially her current move, Buddha Swallows 6 Paths, which could absorb a master's inner force from a distance. Even Li Fan couldn't do this. Worthy of being the undying evil Buddha, but don't underestimate this young man. Jiaola laughed. Wait until this young man takes you down, then I'll kiss you. Courting death. Imperial Concubine Ju's pretty face turned cold. At this moment, she was like a jade-faced Azura, her eyes emitting an ominous glint. But she immediately returned to normal and indifferently said, it seems like this Imperial Concubine's willpower is still not enough. What's wrong, beauty? Are you reluctant to scold me? You're just a child with a yellow mouth. Why should this Imperial Concubine lower herself to your level? Beauty is really pitiful. It's really a pity that a beauty like you is following a trash. It's really a waste. Just as he finished speaking, a jade fox demon suddenly appeared behind Imperial Concubine Ju. It rushed towards Jiaola and spat out a green light. Boom! The ground trembled. The floor of the martial arts stage was unexpectedly lifted up, and a green light soared into the sky. A powerful force rushed in all directions, causing the surrounding people who were watching the show to feel pain on their faces. My goodness, worthy of being the undying evil Buddha in the past. This level of skill is indeed powerful. When the green light dispersed, although Jiaola was still standing there, his appearance was obviously somewhat embarrassed. You can humiliate me, but you can't humiliate him. Imperial Concubine Ju's expression once again turned ferocious. Today, you must die. Wuxin, what do you think? Looking at Jiaola, who was struggling to resist Imperial Concubine Ju, Jiang Feng was not in a hurry to make a move. Instead, he asked Shui Wuxin, who was beside him. Commander, I'm afraid Jiaola can't do it. Shui Wuxin shook her head. Although he has reached the Great Master level, it's impossible for him to be Ju Wanshu's opponent. 100 years ago, Zhu Wanshu was known as the undying evil Buddha, setting off a reign of terror in the Jianghu. Now that she has returned to the Jianghu, whether it is internal force or experience, Zhao Le cannot be compared to her. Yes, your analysis is very correct. Jiang Feng nodded his head, but Zhao Le is different. How can the general that I have chosen be worse than Li Fan's people? He pointed at Zhao Le. Zhao Le, stop playing around. Don't let the guests worry about you. Yes, Lord. Zhao Le took 2 steps back and patted off the dust on his body. He smiled at Imperial concubine Zhu. I'm sorry, beauty. Our boss has given the order. It seems that I can only hurt you. Ari, you have to believe me. It's not that I don't have tender and protective feelings for the fairer sex, but it's really difficult to go against the orders of the emperor. He seemed to be waiting for Imperial concubine Zhu's response. However, Imperial concubine Zhu simply ignored Zhao Le. Instead, she made the figure of the demon fox behind her condense even more clearly. Take this. Although Zhao Le and Wang Yi both had the strength of great masters, they did not have any profound achievements in martial arts. Therefore, they did not know how to use the martial god true body. However, he had the dragon chip, so he had nothing to fear. Zhao Le waved his hand and threw the fan in his hand. This fan instantly hit in front of Imperial concubine Zhu, but it was slapped away by the demon fox behind her. Imperial concubine Zhu controlled the demon fox and raised one of her fox claws. Once again, she activated her Buddha's devouring 6 paths. With the support of the martial god true body, the power of her Buddha's devouring 6 paths increased by 2 to 3 times. Zhao Le's body emitted a dense blue light. This was the appearance of internal force. It was visible to the naked eye as it was absorbed into the demon fox's palm by Imperial concubine Zhu. Compassionate Guanyin. However, Zhao Le did not move. Instead, he stood there with his hands clasped together. His white face actually revealed a compassionate look. Seeing this scene, Dong could not help but let out a low cry. This is the Guanyin palm? Li Fan raised his eyebrows. Fuck, another martial art that he had never heard of. Chapter 1338. This Jiang Feng was indeed amazing. Not only did he not mention Shui Wuxin, he even managed to get 2 hidden experts to help him. Although the 2 of them are not strong, their martial arts are exquisite. Together with the dragon chip strengthening, he created 2 Grandmaster-level expert. Guanyin palm? Imperial concubine Zhu is also slightly surprised. I have not seen this set of martial arts for many years. Beauty really has good eyesight. Zhao Le licks his lips. This little one's martial arts is used to subdue you. When the time comes, I will let you enjoy the taste of this little one's Guanyin palm on the bed. Zhao Le's behavior is too embarrassing, right? Shui Wuxin is somewhat unable to bear it. It is normal for a man to be interested in a woman. However, Jiang Feng said, Zhao Le is a straightforward person. Moreover, he's just saying it. He won't really do anything. But I don't trust him. Wuxin, even if you don't trust him, don't you trust me? Jiang Feng closes his fan. He knows what he is doing. Yes, feeling that Jiang Feng is somewhat impatient, Shui Wuxin does not dare to speak anymore. This Wang Yi and Zhao Le are the talents that he found in the past. At that time, there were a few people, but only these 2 people are valued by Jiang Feng. Now that he thinks about it, it should be their unique martial arts. Sound Blade and Guanyin Palm are both absolute arts. In the current martial arts world, only the 2 of them know them. Guanyin Palm was created by a friend of mine. Imperial concubine Zhu sneers, I did not expect that today. I will have to personally kill his descendant. Don't speak so early. Zhu Wanshu, you better obediently come into this little one's arms. Go and have sex with the king of hell. Imperial concubine Zhu stands there. The demon fox behind her stretches out its claws and grabs 2 long swords that are condensed from internal energy. Then, it slashes towards Zhao Le, but Zhao Le just stands there, unmoved. But suddenly, 6 pairs of palms appear around him, protecting his body. Dang! The 2 huge swords fall down, but they are blocked by Zhao Le's palms. Guanyin Palm, known as the invincible divine technique. Dong explained in Li Fan's ear. In the past, it was said that practicing this guanyin palm is equivalent to being in an invincible position. Is it used to describe the defensive power of the guanyin palm? When Li Fan saw that Imperial Concubine Ju's attacks were blocked several times, he understood what was going on. It seemed like Zhao Le was playing around with Imperial Concubine Ju without any fear. However, the Undying Evil Buddha's 9 Buddha Sutra should be stronger. Even Dong was a little afraid of the title of Imperial Concubine Ju. Of course, if she hadn't been sealed for hundreds of years, I'm afraid that no one in the martial arts world, or even the world, would be a match for her. This woman was too heaven-defying. If it wasn't for Li Fan forbidding her from absorbing the life force of others, she would have died. Perhaps, with her 9 Buddha Sutra, she would have long recovered to the standard of a saint. Beauty, did you see that? You can't hurt me at all. Imperial Concubine Ju attacked several times, but to no avail. This greatly increased Zhao Le's confidence. Why don't you follow this young man? This young man is much stronger than that boy named Li Fan. I guarantee that I will make you wish you were dead. What Imperial Concubine Ju couldn't bear to hear the most was someone insulting Li Fan. She no longer held back her strength and directly used all of her strength. The martial arts stage began to shake. The white veil on Imperial Concubine Ju's body fluttered without any wind. The demon fox behind her suddenly began to shrink and finally turned into a red feather coat, draping over her body. Martial God's true body, 2nd rank. Jiang Feng's brows slightly wrinkled. What martial God's true body? How can it be compared to the power of our dragon chip? Zhao Le looked down on this martial art. Who said that they don't have talent in martial arts? With the dragon chip, they can still trample these so-called experts under their feet. Thinking of this, he suddenly jumped and quickly approached Imperial Concubine Ju. At the same time, many palm shadows enveloped Imperial Concubine Ju. However, Imperial Concubine Ju stood there with one hand behind her back and the other in front of her body. Unexpectedly, she was using Li Fan's crane hand, easily smashing these palm shadows. No matter how many palm shadows Zhao Le had, for Imperial Concubine Ju, it was not worth mentioning. The surrounding martial artists were cheering for Imperial Concubine Ju in their hearts. As expected of the Undying Evil Buddha. This calm of an expert is something they don't have. Beauty. This young man is coming. Zhao Le increased the speed of his palm shadows. He was constantly approaching Imperial Concubine Ju. However, at this time, Imperial Concubine Ju suddenly stepped forward and suddenly placed her palm on the center of his eyebrows. Zhao Le turned pale with fright. He subconsciously concentrated all of his power on his forehead. Bang! Still without any technique, Imperial Concubine Ju's internal force spat out from her palm and hit Zhao Le's body. Zhao Le was immediately sent flying like a cannonball. He somersaulted several times in the air and fell on the edge of the martial arts stage. Die! Imperial Concubine Ju's figure once again appeared in front of him. Her palm was facing Zhao Le, who was under her feet. Her palm was about to erupt with internal force. Hold your palm. However, at this time, a blood-red sword energy suddenly cut through the sky and instantly arrived in front of Imperial Concubine Ju. Imperial Concubine Ju frowned. She stretched out her hand and used Buddha's devouring 6 Tao to absorb the sword energy into her palm. However, her cheeks were crimson. It seemed that she did not successfully absorb the sword energy. Bang! Imperial Concubine Ju flicked her sleeves. The blood-red sword energy flew out from her palm and was thrown to the side. This blood-red sword energy pierced through the vermilion wall next to her, leaving a clearly visible hole in the wall. This hole was as thick as a finger and the incision was smooth and round as if it was made by nature. Such a terrifying sword energy, even Imperial Concubine Ju was moved. Everyone quieted down and stared blankly at the man who shot the blood-red sword energy. The commander of the Imperial Army, Jiang Feng. This skill, I don't know. Dong was also stunned. Obviously, she didn't know what kind of skill this was. Li Fan, who was observing everything in the dark, couldn't help but narrow his eyes. What a good Jiang Feng, he has improved again. Imperial Concubine Ju, it's fine if you stop. Why do you have to hurt people? Jiang Feng slowly put down his right hand. We are all martial artists. Don't hurt our friendship because of a little argument. Your skill is not bad. Imperial concubine Ju looked at Jiang Feng. At the same time, she waved her sleeves and used her internal energy to sweep Jiaola off the stage. The heart demon allowed you to cultivate to this level, it's also not bad. Come up and have a match with me, how about it? You have already won this round, you can't have another match. Jiang Feng chuckled and took 2 steps forward. My lord, let me. Shui Wuxin was just about to volunteer but was stopped by Jiang Feng. Wuxin, you can just watch from the side. For this last match, let me do it myself. After saying that, Jiang Feng looked down. Villa Master Li, you have been watching for a long time. Why don't you come out and have a match with me? Chapter 1339. Jiang Feng's words were like a bomb, exploding in the crowd. Everyone was discussing. Li Fan was here too. Xia Yang and the rest looked at each other. The Villa Master was back. Where was he? Could it be that Jiang Feng was lying? Adam's face was gloomy. Li Fan was back. Was his information wrong? Impossible. The intelligence of the Great Mai Empire could never be wrong. What did Commander-in-Chief Jiang mean by this? What was he planning? But after a long time, no one came out from the crowd. Villa Master Li, do you need me, your brother, to invite you out with a sedan chair? Jiang Feng chuckled and pointed his fan at the crowd. Brother didn't lie to you. I saw you. Everyone looked in the direction he was pointing and saw an average-looking, short man standing in the crowd. He didn't look special. If he was thrown into the crowd, no one would notice him. He was so ordinary. How could he be the famous Villa Master of the 7 heroes? Looks like I have to treat you. As Jiang Feng spoke, his body suddenly emitted a black radiance. Then, he pointed his right index finger at the ordinary man. Azura Divine Sword, Immortal guides the way, 70% power. A blood-red sword chi shot out from his finger and directly shot at the man. How dare you? The man didn't move, but the 4 women beside him wearing different colored clothes moved. The 4 women looked ordinary, but they all formed a sword art at the same time. The swords on their backs were all unsheathed. Black tortoise formation. The 4 swords intertwined and rotated continuously, forming a fan that blocked the blood-red sword chi. But the sword chi suddenly exploded. The airwave instantly tore apart the 4 women's disguise. The 4 absolutely beautiful women standing there shocked everyone present. What beautiful women, and they were quadruplet. Good heavens, there were actually such beauties in this world. It was really worth living. Green dragon formation. Chun'er ordered and prepared to kill Jiang Feng. Anyone who dared to attack her husband must not be left alive. Wait. The ordinary-looking man put his hand on Chun'er's shoulder. Since he came looking for me, how can I ignore him? Sisters, wait here for a moment. I'll go and catch up with my second brother. As he spoke, the ordinary-looking man walked out of the crowd. With every step he took, the muscles on his body would constantly change a little, and his bones would creak. Soon, a handsome man walked into everyone's line of sight. The reactions of the people present were also very different. Master, Manor Lord, Li Fan, Xia Hu and the others were pleasantly surprised. Murong was even more straightforward. She ran over and plunged into Li Fan's arms, making the other girls extremely envious. However, they were all thin-skinned. None of them dared to be as bold as Murong. Brother-in-law, you're finally back. I missed you so much. Murong hugged Li Fan tightly, and the little girl burst into tears. Big sister is back, but there's no news from you. I thought something happened to you. Woo-woo, good girl, don't cry. Didn't I come back safe and sound? Yes, you even brought back 4 beautiful girls. Lin Yuhin couldn't help but snort. Li Fan rubbed his nose awkwardly. Although Lin Yuhin missed him, she was never forgiving with her words. She was also a big vinegar jar, so it was normal for her to be jealous. Although Liu Wn was also a little jealous, she was much calmer than Lin Yuhin. Seeing that Li Fan had returned, her eyes were filled with tenderness. She wished that she could plunge into Li Fan's arms. For the first time, Imperial concubine Ju smiled, causing everyone to be intoxicated. In the past, King Yu of Ju was willing to light the beacon to win the smile of a beauty. They laughed at King Yu of Ju for being muddle-headed, but today, they understood the heart of this emperor. Xia, who wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes. After holding on for so long, Li Fan came back today, but she was completely relaxed. All kinds of grievances surged in her heart, making her want to cry uncontrollably. Brat, you still know to come back. Liao Wushuang's eyes were also red. She hadn't seen Li Fan for so long, and she missed him very much. Today, they finally met, but her heart was filled with unspeakable sorrow and happiness. Among these people, the most worried was Liao Wushuang. A few days ago, she received news that Li Fan and a person called Tai Bai Jinxing had a great battle in Haibin City, and no one knew whether he was dead or alive. Because of the Jiyu Huan in her body, if something happened to Li Fan, she wouldn't be able to live either. Although she knew that Li Fan was still alive, she hated herself. If only she could be a little stronger, she would be able to share Li Fan's worries. Luo Xuewu desperately restrained her happiness. He really came back. Her judgment was never wrong. Li Fan was destined to be a hero. However, he didn't have a place for her in his heart. She didn't know when she would be able to fulfill the marriage they had promised. Perhaps, as long as Murong Ying was alive, she would never have a chance. Dragon Lady ate snacks while looking at Li Fan. Although she didn't speak, she was a little surprised. Why was there a familiar aura on Li Fan's body? Takeda Lan couldn't speak at this time. She could only stand silently in the crowd and look at Li Fan. So many women were worried about him. Takeda Lan felt a little sour in her heart. What's wrong with me? Don't tell me I have some feelings for Li Fan. Impossible, it should just be some good feelings, it can't be anything else. Even Shui Wuxin, who was standing behind Jiang Feng, couldn't help but look at Li Fan a few more times. This annoying guy, he really is still alive. Master, I've embarrassed you. With a plop, Jiang Yi directly knelt in front of Li Fan. Jiang Feng, who was at the side, tightly gripped the fan in his hand, causing the bones to creak. You've already done very well. Li Fan raised his palm, and a wave of inner force helped Jiang Yi up. However, there are still many experts in this world who aren't martial artists. What you've mastered is the way to compete with martial artists, so you didn't lose unjustly. Thank you for your guidance, Master. Disciple will definitely continue to work hard and not disgrace the sect. Li Fan pointed at the 4 beautiful sword maids behind him. You've practiced the dragon subduing sword a little more, later I'll teach you a few more moves. They are all experts in swordsmanship. You can also learn from them. Guan Wenbao and Chen Junhua didn't say a word and directly walked over, each giving Li Fan a hug. Huang Lei, Wang Dudu, and the rest also stepped forward to greet Li Fan. The brothers were all happier than the other. While Yang Kai laughed and directly patted Li Fan's shoulder. You brat, where did you run off to again? Why didn't you call me Grandpa Dao? Next time I'll call you. Li Fan smiled, then turned his head and looked at Jiang Feng. Jiang Feng smiled faintly, while Adam, who was beside him, had a look of unwillingness in his eyes. Forget it, so what if he came back? Today I'll let him die here with me. Chapter 1340. A person's name is like a tree's shadow. Even though some of the martial artists had just arrived at the Seven Knights Villa, when they saw Li Fan standing there, they felt confident. Third brother, look, your popularity is so high that even I, as your elder brother, am a little jealous. Jiang Feng opened his folding fan again and looked at Li Fan. Heaven is watching what people do. Li Fan stood there with his hands behind his back. The 4 beautiful sword maids beside him added a lot of elegance to him. Second brother, if you do more things, I think you will also be popular. Whether what I do is a good thing or not, it's not up to you, and it's not up to me. Jiang Feng did not buy Li Fan's words. Let the later generations judge. Is it really a good thing to make the pugilistic world like this? Li Fan retorted sarcastically, didn't you see? These foreign devils are trying to bully us. If we don't have my 7 nights villa, I'm afraid these bastards will ride on our heads and shit on us. So what? Jiang Feng disagreed. Even if we drive them away, how good will it be? If they left, these people would fight each other day and night. In the end, everyone will fight to the death and both sides will be injured, and these people will come again to defeat us and step on our heads. I can't refute you about internal strife. China loved internal strife since ancient times. This was something Li Fan could not defend, but your method is too extreme. So, don't judge me with good or bad, let the later generations say. Jiang Feng looked at Li Fan with a smile. How good can your method be? You kidnapped my most important family member, is that justice? Jiang Feng, I don't want to talk about Jiang Yi's matter. Li Fan avoided this topic. I don't want to make her sad, so you better not mention this matter again. Okay. Jiang Feng nodded. Let's talk about this competition. Everyone has competed so many times before, although your villa won a lot. But that's just taking advantage of the fact that these guests have come from far away and are not used to the climate here, so it doesn't count. As soon as Jiang Feng finished speaking, the surrounding people started cursing. Shut up. Shui Wuxin cracked the whip, producing a loud pop sound. You have no right to speak. Although these words were a little hurtful, everyone had to admit that it seemed to make some sense. Commander Jiang, what do you mean? Li Fan was the backbone of the villa. With him in charge, Xia Hu and the others could relax. As long as Li Fan stood here, no matter what kind of enemy they faced, they would not be afraid. Look, you're the 7 Chivalry Mountain Villa's Manor Master, and you're also an Imperial Sword. And I'm the commander of the Royal Guards, so we're of equal status. Jiang Feng pointed at the two of them with his fan. Why don't you and I have a match, and we'll decide who wins and who loses? How about that? Sure. Li Fan agreed readily. He also wanted to personally see how strong Jiang Feng was now. If you want to fight with the commander, beat me first. Shui Wuxin suddenly jumped out, and the whip in his hand heavily lashed at Li Fan. He didn't hold back at all. And Li Fan lightly leaned to the side, avoiding Shui Wuxin's whip. With a bang, a crack appeared on the ground beside Li Fan's feet. Give me your life. Wang Yi and Zhao Le, these two generals, actually didn't have any bearing, and attacked Li Fan. Of the two, one used the soundless saber, silently appeared on Li Fan's left side, and slashed down quickly, leaving after images behind. And the other struck out hundreds of palm shadows, densely packed, sealing all of Li Fan's escape routes. Despicable. The people of the villa all cursed, but it was too late for them to help. But Li Fan's expression was normal, and he even stopped a few sword servants who were about to help. Li Fan's left hand used the Thunder Dragon Blast, and directly used the hand blade to break the treasured saber in Wang Yi's hand. Next, his right hand used the Dragon Capture Art, and the powerful internal energy instantly dissolved the Guanyin palm, and pulled Zhao Le in front of him. War Dragon Roar, 80% power, roar. Li Fan followed up with a War Dragon Roar, and the shockwave directly sent the two flying. And Shui Wuxin, who was far away, didn't escape, and was blown away by the shockwave. Jiang Feng was the one who held her back, and stabilized her body. With only 3 moves, he easily subdued the 3 generals who attacked him at the same time. So powerful. This is the 7-hero Villa Master? He is much stronger than before. Good. Jiang Feng cheered. As expected of my third brother, his martial arts has already improved to this level. This is interesting. My 3 subordinates were a bit impulsive. I am really sorry. I will definitely teach them a lesson when I return. Those 3 generals were originally sent by Jiang Feng to spy on Li Fan. Seeing the power of Li Fan's attack, Jiang Feng also re-evaluated his strength in his heart. After disappearing for a period of time, Li Fan's strength has made a breakthrough again. This brat is indeed a threat, but I have also improved. I will not be inferior to him. Don't say unnecessary words. Li Fan's voice became cold. People of different paths cannot make plans together. There is bound to be a fierce battle between you and me. I see that you have improved a lot. Why don't we completely decide who is better today? Only life and death, regardless of victory or defeat. Good. Jiang Feng's eyes also lit up. He was waiting for this sentence from Li Fan. As the imperial sword, Li Fan naturally has the power of life and death. But he is the commander of the royal army, he also has the power to act first and report later. Today, the two of them will decide life and death. Jiang Feng has full confidence in himself. For this day, he is even willing to fall into the Azura path. A strong Azura chi rises from Jiang Feng's body. The chi on his body constantly changes color. At first it was blue, then purple, then red, and finally stopped at black. Bang! Jiang Feng did not move a step, but the ground under his feet cracked, the cracks like a spider web, spreading out in all directions. This kind of skill. I have never seen it before. Dong thought hard for a long time, finally sighed lightly. Looks like my knowledge is not enough. Dong, don't worry, his skill is definitely created by himself. Li Fan comforted Dong, then asked loudly, second brother, can you tell me, what is this self-created skill called? Azura Gate. Jiang Feng became even more proud. My skill is divided into Azura Mantra and Azura God Sword. It sounds quite powerful. Li Fan looked at the black chi around Jiang Feng, his heart began to calculate. Jiang Feng sneered, the current him is incomparably confident. This Azura Mantra has a total of 9 levels, every 2 levels can let his Azura chi evolve once. From the initial blue Azura, to the current black Azura. But he has not trained to the 9th level, that way he can train to white Azura. At that time, he will naturally be invincible. How about it, Li Fan? Do you dare to fight with your 7 gallant fist? Chapter 1341. Your kung fu is indeed powerful. Li Fan could see through Shura's gate. It was indeed a divine kung fu. It seemed that Jiang Feng was also a talent. He had endured so much and was finally about to soar into the sky. I can't beat your Shura's gate with just 7 hero fist. How rare. You actually admit defeat. Jiang Feng was surprised. Then it's not too late for you to surrender now. As long as you hand over the 7 hero mountain villa and cripple your kung fu, as your brother, I won't make things difficult for you. I'm not done yet. What's the rush? Li Fan crossed his arms. Today, I've also created an advanced kung fu from the 7 hero sect. It's called 9 Dragons spell. Since brother is so interested, I'll risk my life to accompany you. I'll use my 9 Dragons spell to test your Shura's gate. How about it? Oh. Jiang Feng thought about it. He was a smart person. When he heard that Li Fan had created another advanced kung fu, he hesitated. Although he was confident, he had never looked down on Li Fan. His 3 opponents had been defeated too quickly. Jiang Feng didn't even have time to figure out Li Fan's strength. However, there was a battle today. His Shura's gate would not lose. Shura's gate is indeed a top-notch kung fu, but mine isn't bad either. As he spoke, a white light emitted from Li Fan's body. This light was like a swimming dragon, circling around Li Fan's body before dispersing into the air. Bang! A wave of air burst out from Li Fan's feet, rolling in all directions. Some of the weaker martial artists couldn't even stand straight. Jiang Feng, let's fight. The 4 sword servants retreated to the side to avoid affecting Li Fan's battle. The two stood on the stage, their internal energy colliding with each other. Surprisingly, they were evenly matched. There was a faint explosion in the air. It was clear how strong their internal energy was. Without hesitation, Jiang Feng made his move and closed in on Li Fan by about 3 meters. He stuck the fan on his waist with one hand and pointed at Li Fan's chest with the other. Azura Divine Sword, Deity shows the way, 80% power. Li Fan sneered. His left hand brought up a bolt of lightning as he slashed down. Thunder Dragon Heavenly Punishment, Thunder Dragon Bombardment, 80% power. A blood-red sword energy and a bluish-purple thunder saber collided in the air. Boom! The power of the two exploded. Both sides withstood the shockwaves and fought fiercely. Both of them were top-notch experts. In a short moment, they had exchanged more than 10 moves. Jiang Feng's Azura Divine Sword allowed him to release sword chi from his fingers. This set of martial arts should have been derived from their family's acupoint punching technique. At this moment, With the help of the sword qi, this set of martial arts became even more powerful. However, the profound dragon ice palm that Li Fan displayed also shocked everyone. In particular, the cold air that erupted from his palm made Jiang Feng even more afraid to approach recklessly. The two of them attacked each other at the same time and then retreated. Azura Divine Sword, 2 dragons playing with pearls, 90% power. Jiang Feng's 2 hands released blood-red sword qi, one from the left and one from the right, heading straight for Li Fan. Bang! However, Li Fan's feet bounced, and the sword qi directly passed through Li Fan's afterimage. He himself appeared behind Jiang Feng and at the same time, aimed a kick at the back of Jiang Feng's head. Dragon Beheading Terrace, Evil Dragon Steals the Moon, 90% power. Li Fan's kick was fast and fierce, and the essence of it was steel. However, Jiang Feng already felt the cold wind behind him. His body fell to the ground, and then when his body landed, he turned around and slapped his left palm at Li Fan's chest. Azura Divine Sword, Azura Star Picking, 90% power. On Jiang Feng's palm, a red sword qi emerged from each of his fingers. There were a total of 5 sections, and they were like Azura's claws. They were aimed at Li Fan's chest. Dragon Beheading Terrace, Sleeping Dragon Flipping Over, 90% power. Li Fan's brows furrowed. This move was very bad. He immediately changed his leg technique, turned up and down, hung upside down in midair, and swept his leg out. Bang! Li Fan's kick landed on Jiang Feng's wrist, and his hand was kicked high up in the air. Jiang Feng borrowed the force to flip in midair, and once again stabilized his body. Then, he used 2 dragons playing with pearls again, and 2 sword qi shot towards Li Fan who was still in midair. However, Li Fan directly opened his mouth and roared. Battle Dragon Roar, 90% power. A powerful airwave rushed over, and Jiang Feng's sword qi was shattered. And Li Fan borrowed the force of this roar to fly backward. He turned in midair again, landed on the ground, and stabilized his body. The surrounding people were all mesmerized. This was a battle between 2 top-notch experts. Both of them were too strong, and their fight was too beautiful. It was too much for their eyes to take in, and they were afraid to miss a single move. What was an unparalleled battle? It was probably just like this. As a martial fighter, to be able to witness such a great battle in one's lifetime, one's life was not in vain. This 9 dragons art is indeed not bad. Jiang Feng readjusted his state, and the aura in his body started to circulate again. You are indeed my greatest opponent. If I don't kill you, my plan will not be able to be realized. Because your plan is fundamentally wrong. Li Fan also suppressed his rumbling qi si. Fighting with Jiang Feng had consumed a lot of his inner force. Even without me, there will be others who will come out to stop you. Since I have chosen this path, I have long expected the difficulty. Jiang Feng did not hesitate, and a fierce glint flashed in his eyes. If God blocks me, I will kill God. If Buddha blocks me, I will kill Buddha. You are still hiding something, right? Why don't you take it out? Li Fan asked. Fine, as an elder brother, I naturally cannot hold anything back. As Jiang Feng spoke, the black aura on his body started to explode. Soon, a 4-meter-tall black-armored Azura condensed behind him. However, after the Azura appeared, it quickly compressed its body, and soon, a black Azura armor appeared on Jiang Feng's body. You have already reached the 2nd stage of the martial god true body? Li Fan could not help but be surprised. Second brother, you have improved a lot faster than me recently. Thank you for the compliment. You should also bring out your full strength. Let me experience your black dragon ice palm at full strength. How about it? All right. A Valkyrie condensed behind Li Fan, and the Valkyrie quickly turned into a dragon-shaped armor, and Li Fan wore it. 2 half-step martial saints stood on the stage, and both were martial gods at the 2nd stage. Their strength was naturally self-evident. Many people below the stage were extremely envious. Being able to train to this level was every martial fighter's dream. Immortal guidance, 100%. After activating the martial god true body, they could also smoothly use 100% of their strength. Jiang Feng's blood-red sword qi was a lot thicker than before, and it went straight for Li Fan. Dragon devours all elephants, 100%. Li Fan struck out with a black dragon ice palm, and forcefully absorbed Jiang Feng's sword qi. Chapter 1342. Hehe, it's not that easy to absorb my sword qi. Jiang Feng sneered. Previously, Imperial concubine Ju also wanted to absorb Jiang Feng's sword qi, but in the end, she had no choice but to toss it out. Who said that I want to absorb your sword qi? Li Fan laughed and pushed his palm toward Jiang Feng. I'll return it to you. The blood-colored sword qi erupted from his palm and instantly shot toward Jiang Feng. Jiang Feng frowned. The power of this blood sword was actually much stronger than what he had unleashed himself. He immediately dodged to the side and dodged this blood sword. However, at the same time, a bad signal lit up in his heart. Li Fan's habit was to destroy everything in its path, using one move to defeat another. Before Jiang Feng could turn his head, Li Fan had already arrived before him. He bent his body and was almost sticking to the ground. His palm carried a powerful chill. Even Jiang Feng could feel a strong sense of oppression from it. He didn't dare to underestimate it and immediately retreated, wanting to dodge. However, Li Fan wouldn't let him do as he wished. His palm was like a maggot in a tarsal bone, sticking close to Jiang Feng's body and following him. Mystic Dragon Spitting Pearls, 100%. Li Fan's palm spat out a ball of white qi bead. It brought along a strong chill and directly sprayed it on Jiang Feng's body. Jiang Feng immediately circulated his energy to block it, but half of his body was still covered in frost from the explosion of the ice bead. Immortal guides the way. Jiang Feng also took advantage of the moment when Li Fan used his ultimate technique and activated his sword qi. His talent and wisdom were both outstanding. In almost an instant, the sword qi accurately hit Li Fan's shoulder. PFFF. Li Fan was stabbed. Blood burst out from his shoulder as his body was sent flying. Jiang Feng also stood there, half of his body frozen. Li Fan somersaulted in the air and landed on the ground. He tapped on his shoulder a few times with his finger, sealing the qi and blood on his shoulder. The injury on his shoulder was also rapidly healing under the strengthening of his genes. Jiang Feng, on the other hand, was circulating his powerful Azura qi to melt the frost on the right side of his body. White mist emerged and flew into the air. Both of them are so powerful. If I could be half as good as them, my life wouldn't be in vain. The martial fighters below couldn't help but exclaim in admiration, but Adam was a little speechless. At this moment, the combat power that Li Fan displayed was equivalent to slapping his face in all kinds of ways. This Huaxia man's combat power was simply heaven-defying. Be it Li Fan or Jiang Feng, both of their strengths were far above his. What kind of joke was this? How could a mere martial artist from Huaxia have such strength? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. The United States was the strongest existence. Their AI chips should have the highest power. Adam frowned deeply. He watched the battle and used the retina camera on his eyes to send this scene to the American Empire's Combat Data Analysis Center. Since these two people were very strong, their genes would definitely become Empress Mai's treasures and make her even stronger. This Jiang Feng's strength isn't bad. Xia was somewhat moved when she saw Jiang Feng's methods. He's not bad, but he can't be compared to my husband. Chuna laughed. My husband still has many secret techniques that he hasn't used yet. Villa Master Li. Jiang Feng looked at Li Fan, and something flickered in his eyes. You are indeed very strong, and your strength seems to be on par with mine. How can that be? I admire Commander-in-Chief Jiang's strength. Jiang Feng laughed. Then let's put down everything and fight with all our strength. Sure. The two laughed at the same time and instantly charged at each other. Bang, bang, bang. The two exchanged a few blows in a row, and both of them let go of their strength and fought to the fullest. Their strength seemed to be on par, and it was hard to tell who was stronger in a short period of time. Gradually, Jiang Feng's Azura mental cultivation method revealed a flaw. It seemed that he did not have enough strength. His speed and strength were slightly reduced. Li Fan was overjoyed and took advantage of the situation to launch a fierce attack, causing Jiang Feng to retreat continuously. Adam was a little flustered. He pulled Shui Wuxin and started shouting. "Is your commander-in-chief dying? Quick, you guys go and help him. Commander Adam, this is a martial arts competition that belongs to martial artists. It is sacred and inviolable." Shui Wuxin did not have a good impression of Adam. She shook off Adam's hand and said rudely, "You and I can only watch from the sidelines. Moreover, Lord Commander-in-Chief has not lost yet." "What nonsense. It is already like this. Could it be that he has not lost yet? He is going to die soon," Adam berated. "Quick, go and help Commander-in-Chief Jiang." Behind him were an Indian yoga warrior, a Greek Roman warrior, a British Knight of the Round Table, and himself. Just as the four of them took a step forward, 4 swords suddenly flew out and hovered above their heads. "Whoever dares to step forward, kill without mercy." The 4 beautiful sword maids stood there and activated the sword formation. Killing intent flickered in the eyes of each beauty. "Ignore these 4 women, go." Adam could not wait any longer. The Indian yoga warrior sneered and licked his lips. "Commander, leave these girls to me. I will play with them." The yoga warrior was bare-chested. His movement technique was very strange. Like a poisonous snake, he slithered on the ground and quickly crawled toward the beautiful sword maids. White tiger formation. Chana took the lead and activated the formation. 4 swords suddenly descended from the sky and pierced into the yoga warrior's body. The swords pierced into his arms and calves, forcefully nailing him to the ground. "Ah!" The yoga warrior screamed miserably. He was in so much pain that he peed and defecated. He struggled on the ground like a maggot. "Mph, serves you right." Xia coldly looked at the yoga warrior and then scolded, "Whoever dares to move will be killed without mercy. Spare me. Spare me." The yoga warrior desperately begged for mercy, but the 4 sword maids ignored him. "You guys, how dare you?" Adam was so angry that he wanted to kill someone. White tiger formation. Chana commanded again. In an instant, hundreds of sword images descended from the sky and formed a row in front of these foreign devils, blocking their path. "I will say it again, whoever crosses the line will be killed without mercy." Xia was finally satisfied. She was in a very good mood. The corner of Adam's mouth twitched. Looking at the row of sword images in front of him, he finally retracted his leg. "Why didn't you help me?" Adam could only vent his anger at Shui Wuxin. "I already said, martial arts in China is sacred and inviolable." Shui Wuxin rolled her eyes. "You insisted on fooling around. What does it have to do with me, you?" Adam was so angry that he almost died. These Chinese are not trustworthy. Their cooperation is only temporary. Once America completes the Zeus system, they will definitely not forgive them. Chapter 1343. Li Fan and Jiang Feng were in a mess. Jiang Feng was losing ground with a grave expression. As for Li Fan, he was getting more and more courageous as the fight went on. "Villa Master Li is amazing." "That's right. That Jiang Feng is nothing. He's just a despicable person. How can he compare to Villa Master Li? Jiang Feng is about to lose." The crowd discussed fervently. Jiang Feng's face was pale as if he would lose at any moment. His moves were showing more and more flaws. Jiang Feng seemed to know that he was about to lose. He knew that Li Fan was good at close combat. Hence, he started to switch from offense to defense. He quickly retreated, trying to put some distance between him and Li Fan. Mystical Dragon Drinking Water, 100% strength. But Li Fan struck out with his palm. White frost erupted from his palm and a powerful suction force was born. The difference between Mystical Dragon Drinking Water and Dragon Capture Skill was that Dragon Capture Skill was a technique that could absorb and release. Mystical Dragon Ice Palm, on the other hand, dragged the opponent over to receive a fatal blow. Jiang Feng knew that Li Fan's palm couldn't touch him. But he still couldn't control himself. His feet almost left the ground as he was pulled over. "Damn it!" Jiang Feng's expression changed. His eyes were filled with panic. "Jiang Feng, die." Li Fan bellowed, and the power in his palm erupted. And Jiang Feng was already right in front of Li Fan. Everyone thought that Jiang Feng would lose. But at this moment, Jiang Feng's lips curled into a smile. His body suddenly exploded with a powerful black light that enveloped him. Jiang Feng's skin had completely turned black. He looked like a real Azura from hell. Azura's wrath. Jiang Feng's powerful aura exploded, causing everyone's expression to change. This powerful aura wasn't something he had before. This guy still had a trick up his sleeve. Azura stars plucking. Jiang Feng's speed was more than doubled. His claw carried a red sword aura as it slashed at Li Fan's chest. Li Fan was completely defenseless. His body was stiff and he was about to be hit. Li Fan's life seemed to be hanging by a thread. But at this moment, an identical Li Fan suddenly appeared beside him, causing Jiang Feng to widen his eyes. 5 Emperor's Divine Palm, Yellow Emperor Ascending Dragon, full power, bang! This palm landed solidly on Jiang Feng's body. Jiang Feng was instantly sent flying. He tumbled a few times in the air before finally smashing into the house beside him. The stone walls were blasted open and dust was kicked up. And Li Fan's figure once again merged into one. He landed on the stage with a calm expression. Everyone was shocked. What had just happened? Why did 2 Li Fans suddenly appear? Doppelganger. Imperial concubine Ju was the first to react. Others might not know, but she, who had lived for several hundred years, understood the origin of this move. As expected of the man this empress has taken a fancy to, his truly extraordinary. Imperial concubine Ju was incomparably happy. She was even happier than if she had successfully cultivated the external incarnation. The outer body incarnation was one of the ultimate skills of the martial arts world. It was said that one had to form a second dantian in order to cultivate it. As for how to form a second dantian, no one knew. Therefore, although the skill was good, in the thousands of years of the martial arts world, very few people had successfully cultivated it. Only a few martial artists with great luck could be lucky enough to cultivate this move. However, this doppelganger seems to be using the 5 Emperor's Divine Palm. Regarding the 5 Emperor's Divine Palm, although Imperial concubine Ju had never seen it, she had heard a little about it. This should be a martial art of the martial emperor's bloodline. How did Li Fan learn it? This little boyfriend of hers seemed to have more and more secrets on him. Shui Wuxin also frowned. Her heart was filled with worry. Lord Commander, is he all right? Bang! The house next to him was broken, and rubble flew everywhere. Jiang Feng's skin was black, and there was blood at the corner of his mouth. He walked out of the rubble. The current Jiang Feng was like a demon god from hell. His eyes were suffused with a crimson light, and his anger was boundless. Commander Jiang, I'm sorry. I was one step ahead of you again. Li Fan crossed his arms and stood there, looking at Jiang Feng opposite him. Do you think you're the only one scheming against me? I know you too well. You hid a trick, and so did I, Li Fan. You deserve to die. After transforming into an Azura, Jiang Feng seemed to have lost some of his rationality. As he spoke, black smoke came out from the corner of his mouth. This was caused by his killing intent. Li Fan looked at Jiang Feng and couldn't help but shake his head. Although this Azura's wrath was powerful, it consumed a lot of Jiang Feng's mental energy. The repercussions would be huge. Without reaching this level, forcefully increasing one's strength and overdrafting one's strength would always be flawed. For Li Fan, practicing martial arts should be done step by step, one step at a time. Jiang Feng, using this kind of martial arts will damage your meridians. Li Fan advised, it's better to stop practicing it as soon as possible. Shut up. Jiang Feng roared, you lucky guy, what qualifications do you have to lecture me? In order to realize my dream, I naturally have to pay the price. Alright, people of different paths cannot make plans together. Li Fan did not say anything more. Let's fight. As he spoke, the elemental energy in his body quickly condensed. At the same time, Li Fan stretched out his hand. The hero's sword in Murong's hand immediately flew out of its sheath and flew into the air before being sucked into Li Fan's hand. Powerful elemental energy constantly condensed on top of Li Fan's sword. Soon, this black sword's blade condensed with a layer of black light, looking incomparably dangerous. After seeing your Azura's wrath, it's time to let you see my martial god true body, 3rd rank. What? Everyone was shocked. This martial god true body had 3 stages. Was there a mistake? They did not understand, but Imperial Concubine Ju knew a little. Xia, who also looked at Imperial Concubine Ju with a questioning gaze. Imperial Concubine Ju then said, "Martial god true body indeed has 3 stages. However, to cultivate to this stage, one needs a 2nd Dantian." 2nd Dantian? Yes. Imperial Concubine Ju nodded. This 2nd Dantian, ordinary people cannot cultivate it. I did not expect Li Fan to have such a fortuitous encounter. It is truly shocking. Why can one comprehend the 3rd rank of martial god after cultivating the 2nd Dantian? Chen Junhua was also a martial arts fanatic, so he immediately asked. There is only 1 Dantian, so it can only strengthen one's own strength. Imperial Concubine Ju simply explained, with the 2nd Dantian, one can increase the strength of a weapon. Look, now that Li Fan is using a weapon, his 2nd Dantian is strengthening his sword. This is also because his 2nd Dantian has been formed. Otherwise, with his realm, he should be able to surpass a sword without a sword. Imperial Concubine Ju's eyes were sharp, and her analysis was also very accurate. At this moment, Li Fan had indeed formed his 2nd Dantian, so he still needed a sword to perform the 3rd rank of martial god. Even so, he was now unbelievably strong. 9 returned to 110% power. As for Jiang Feng, he had accumulated enough rage points and finally exploded. Chapter 1344. 99 returned to 110%. Jiang Feng pointed forward with both hands. In an instant, countless blood-red sword chi shot toward Li Fan like tens of thousands of swords returning to their root. Flying Dragon Frenzy Dance, 110%. Li Fan swung the abstruse black treasured sword continuously. From time to time, black sword light would explode in the air. Li Fan, with his own strength, forcibly sent all the sword chi shooting in front of him flying. A sword with the power of a 3rd-layer martial god was unstoppable. The Shura sword intense produced by Jiang Feng could not harm Li Fan at all. However, Jiang Feng continued to unleash the sword intense. His stamina seemed to be limitless. Endless sword intents were fired toward Li Fan. Meanwhile, Jiang Feng's appearance continued to change. The black murderous aura continued to accumulate on his body, changing his appearance. His body continued to expand, and his clothes were torn apart. Meanwhile, his hands and feet turned into claws, and fangs emerged from his mouth. Not long after, a 2-meter-tall tiger man with white stripes stood there and continued to unleash his Shura sword intent. Shura tiger, Imperial Concubine Ju's expression shifted upon seeing this. Why did Jiang Feng turn into a tiger? The others were confused too. The path of martial arts is extremely difficult. Imperial Concubine Ju let out a sigh as she recalled her usual appearance when she was cultivating. When a person is possessed by the devil after cultivating, the murderous aura will enter their body, causing them to transform into a wild beast. This Jiang Feng is one with the inner demon, and now he has materialized the inner demon into the appearance of a Shura tiger. Imperial Concubine Ju was extremely proud, yet she was full of admiration for Jiang Feng's martial arts. The hearts of Xia Hu and the others sank. Was Jiang Feng really that strong? As Jiang Feng mutated into the Shura tiger, his blood-red eyes stared at Li Fan. The blood-red sword chi on his finger became even more ferocious, and it shot towards Li Fan like a machine gun. Humph, I'll show you the power of a 3rd-layer martial god. As Li Fan spoke, he shook his right hand and threw the sword in his hand. The treasured sword flew into the air and black essence energy condensed on it, quickly forming a black dragon. This black dragon was about 10 meters long and had a ferocious expression as it twisted its body. This was the power of a 3rd-layer martial god, weapon mimicry, dragon subduing sword, flying dragon dance, 110% power. The black dragon circled around Li Fan's body, dancing and spinning, deflecting all the sword chi that approached him. The audience was dumbfounded. These two people, one was more awesome than the other. One transformed into a beast while the other condensed a sword dragon. Truly terrifying. Azura star-picking, 110% power. Jiang Feng's feet suddenly shot forward. His speed was heaven-defying. A second ago, he was still more than 10 meters away, but in the next second, he was already in front of Li Fan. At the same time, he raised his palm and went straight for Li Fan's head. Azure dragon piercing the sun, 110% power. The black dragon also leapt up and slammed its head into Jiang Feng. Bang! The black dragon exploded into pieces. The hero's sword flew out and slashed into the ground beside it. Jiang Feng was sent flying too, slamming heavily into the distance. The Azura chi on his body dissipated, slowly returning to his original appearance. It was obvious that Jiang Feng was slightly weaker in the duel. Li Fan had relied on his weapon, while Jiang Feng had relied on his flesh. It was obvious that Jiang Feng had suffered a great loss. Jiang Feng, are you still coming? Li Fan stood on the spot and patted the dust off his clothes while staring at Jiang Feng. I'm fine. Jiang Feng regained his senses. He pushed away Shui Wuxin who was supporting him and slowly rose to his feet. Li Fan, you're very strong indeed, to have comprehended the third-layer martial god realm. Jiang Feng wiped the blood from the corner of his lips. Your talent has indeed surpassed mine. That's not it, I just had some fortunate encounters. Li Fan was honest. I believe you've comprehended the Azura Gate on your own, and the Azura's Wrath, even though it has some flaws, it's still a remarkable martial art. In terms of talent, you're actually stronger than me. However, this martial art is harmful to one's body, so it's not the right path in the pugilistic world. If you listen to me, you can stay in the villa. I'll teach you the method to activate the second Dantian, so you can return to the right path in the pugilistic world. Fat. Jiang Feng spat disdainfully. Li Fan, you're such a hypocrite, who would want to accept your kindness? Hey, what are you talking about? My brother-in-law is doing this out of kindness, yet you're ruining it. Murong was instantly displeased. We've raised you for so many years, yet you're so greedy. Ungrateful bastard. Ha ha ha, I'm an ungrateful bastard. Ha 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 ha. Jiang Feng suddenly burst out laughing. His laughter shook the entire villa, causing many of the weaker martial artists to cover their ears in pain. What are you laughing at? It's so unpleasant to hear. Murong glared fiercely at Jiang Feng while covering her ears. Murong's family is shameless to the extreme. Jiang Feng roared, scaring Murong so much that she shivered. Murong, that old dog, killed my entire family, imprisoned my sister, and even forced me to acknowledge the thief as my father and take him as my master. There's no good person in your Murong's family. There's no good person in the pugilistic world. All of you deserve to die. Jiang Feng's roar seemed to carry the stench of blood, causing everyone present to have goosebumps, as if their hearts were being pierced by thousands of arrows. Li Fan didn't make a sound. Although he didn't experience such a thing, he could understand the pain of Jiang Feng's family being destroyed. Jiang Yi stood at the side, trembling slightly. Under the mask, it was unknown whether it was tears or indifference. I, Jiang Feng, swear to destroy Murong, swear to destroy the pugilistic world. Is that so? At this moment, a voice came from afar. Everyone's heart thumped at the same time. Who is it this time? But Li Fan and Jiang Feng trembled at the same time and looked to the side. With this look, both of their hearts sank at the same time. They saw Murong Bo wearing a dark green robe. Although the robe was simple, it didn't hide his demeanor as a grandmaster. This old guy, when he stood here, no one could not look at him. No matter when, Murong Bo was worthy of being the number one in the pugilistic world. And beside him was a top-grade beauty, about 20 years old, with a beauty that could cause the downfall of a country. She was wearing a black cheongsam with a peony pattern, which wrapped around her exquisite figure, revealing her curvaceous figure. The slit of the cheongsam revealed a pair of slender, straight, white legs, which were extremely attractive and attracted thousands of eyes. Murong Ying, Li Fan smiled bitterly, she actually came. Following behind them was a group of disciples of Murong's villa. Each of them carried the sword of Murong's family and wore the uniform of Murong's family, which was very impressive. Together with the 7 Knights Villa and the Imperial Army, they formed 3 different forces. Evil disciple, I want to see how you will destroy my Murong's family. Chapter 1345. Humph. Jiang Feng wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, stood up, and looked at Murong Bo opposite him. Murong, old thief, you came at the right time. It's time to settle the score between us. What an evil disciple. I have cultivated you for so many years, fed you, provided you with shelter, and taught you martial arts. As a result, you bite me back. Good, really good. I, Murong Bo, have cultivated an ungrateful wolf for so many years. I regret it. I regret it so much. Murong Bo let out a long sigh, seeming to be a little regretful. Old thief, you are really shameless. You regret it. What do you have to regret? Jiang Feng asked. I regret that I didn't slap you to death, little bastard. Now I have raised a tiger to harm me. Murong Bo snorted coldly, but, so what? Even if you have comprehended an evil martial art, what can you do to me? No one questioned what Murong Bo said. This old guy used to be powerful, and now he had been in closed-door training for a while. Who knew if he would have a breakthrough? You really know how to choose the right time. Jiang Feng looked at him coldly. You chose to come when I was injured. But this is also good. All the grievances should be settled today. Even if I, Jiang Feng, die, I will drag you down with me. Why? Do I have to choose an auspicious day to make trouble for you? Besides, today, not only you, but also everyone in this village, can't escape. Murong Bo clapped his hands. Hundreds of well-trained disciples in black rushed in and blocked the way down the mountain, blocking the way for these martial arts people to leave. Murong Bo, old dog, what do you mean? Li Fan looked at Murong Bo with a fierce look in his eyes. Do you want to make trouble for my villa? What, Li Fan, do you think I dare not touch you because you have someone to back you up? Murong Bo laughed. Ha ha ha, let me tell you, I have got the secret order. It doesn't matter even if I kill you all. From today onwards, Jianghu is still under the control of my Murong family. Secret order? Whose secret order is it? Li Fan felt that something was wrong. Of course it's ours. Li Fan turned his head and saw Tai Bai Jinxing standing on the stone lion in front of the door, looking at him with a smile that was not a smile. You're here too. Li Fan's heart sank. Tai Bai Jinxing's strength is at the half-saint realm. Coupled with Murong, it would probably be difficult for me to deal with 2 half-saint. Murong Bo, it seems that you really like to be a dog. Li Fan sneered at Murong's Weibo, you're such a disloyal woman. Are you in a hurry to be Liao Ju's dog again? His words caused the 3 girls to be slightly moved. One was Liao Wushuang, and the other 2 were Murong's sisters. Li Fan, if you say one more word, I'll make you beg for death. Being called an old dog, Murong Bo clenched her fists, and anger flashed in her eyes. Hehe, Murong Bo, do you think my 7 Knights villa is easy to bully? Li Fan waved his hand, and all the martial artists in the 7 Knights villa raised their true chi and confronted Murong's people. Since you want to fight, then I'll play with you. Good, you really don't know death. Murong Bo ordered. Murong's disciples, listen up. Today, all the people in the villa will be killed without mercy, and no one will be left alive. Wait, we're not from here, you can't kill us. Adam hurriedly shouted. Murong Bo glanced at Tai Bai Jinxing, and Tai Bai Jinxing slightly shook his head. Humph, a group of barbarians, who cares about your life and death? Murong Bo waved her hand, kill without mercy, yes. Murong's disciples immediately drew their swords and charged toward 7 Knights villa. Imperial army, fight back with all your strength. Jiang Feng ordered, and the Imperial army he brought with him also drew their weapons and fought against Murong's people. Disciples of the mountain villa, friends. Li Fan asked loudly, right now, someone wants to touch our villa, what do you intend to do? Kill them. Everyone shouted in unison. Good. Li Fan laughed loudly, Outer sect disciples, retreat to the inner sect. Inner sect disciples, step forward. Let's let these sons of bitches see the consequences of provoking our Seven Knights Villa. Seven Knights Villa must be united, and no matter who wants to touch the villa, they must die. Kill. For a period of time, the three forces engaged in a chaotic battle. These three forces had elites and normal disciples. Both sides fought with their lives on the line. Li Fan. Although I do not like you, the two of us must work together and deal with this Murong Bo, Jiang Feng said loudly. Just take it that I, Jiang Feng, owe you a favor. We can work together, but Murong Bo alone is not a threat. The one beside him is a true expert. Li Fan's gaze landed on Tai Bai Jinxing. He, don't worry. I will not make a move against you today. Tai Bai Jinxing crossed his arms as he stood there and smiled. The higher-ups gave me an order not to make a move. This time, it is Murong Bo's stage. Who knows what Liao Ju is thinking? He sent Murong Bo and his people to cause trouble, but he did not let his protector make a move. The two of you can go ahead. Murong Bo does not seem to care about them. Just nice, let me do some exercise. Xiao Ying, if you are not willing to make a move, then stand to the side. Hearing this, Murong Ying's expression relaxed, and she stood to the side. While the people were fighting outside, they tacitly left an empty space in the middle for the three experts to fight. Since he is not going to make a move, the two of us will work together to deal with this Murong Bo, Li Fan said as he took out 2 miracle rejuvenation pills. He ate one and tossed the other to Jiang Feng. Jiang Feng caught the pill and threw it into his mouth. Jiang Feng's pale face instantly recovered. What a great item. Jiang Feng could not help but feel surprised. It seems like I have underestimated your residence. The two of you, are you done adjusting your breathing? Murong Bo wore a hideous grin. What are you waiting for? You old dog, you're quite impatient. Li Fan chuckled and circulated his origin chi. He put on the dragon armor and entered the second-level martial god realm. He is in a rush to reincarnate. Let's fulfill his wish. Jiang Feng put on the Shura armor too. His fingers emitted a faint red glow. You two brats, today is the day you die. Murong Bo waved his hand, and the sword of one of Murong's disciples immediately flew into his hand. Go to hell. Saying this, Murong Bo swung his sword and slashed horizontally with a terrifying sword intent, reaching Li Fan and Jiang Feng in the blink of an eye. Jiang Feng jumped up, and Li Fan used an iron bridge. The two of them dodged the sword chi. Whoosh. The 2 royal guards, 1 disciple of the 7 heroes, and 2 disciples of Murong Bo were slashed in half by the sword intent. Chapter 1346. The sword aura continues to fly out, cutting a house behind it into 2 pieces, before finally flying into the air. Li Fan wipes his cold sweat. This old dog has already lost his humanity. He doesn't even let his own people off. Old thief, you are indeed so vicious, even killing your own people. Jiang Feng ridicules. Hihi, this group of people are orphans that I raised up. It was me who personally raised them, turning them into my death warriors. Murong Bo doesn't care, they live for me, naturally they are willing to die for me. These people are very sincere, not like an ingrate like you, understand? You talk a lot of nonsense. Li Fan has already arrived in front of Murong Bo. From bottom to top, his palm strikes towards Murong Bo's chin. Black Dragon Ice Palm. Black Dragon raises its head, 100% power. At this moment, Jiang Feng's figure also strangely appears behind Murong Bo, his palm grabbing towards Murong Bo's head. Azura God Sword, Azura Star Picking, 100% power. These two people's attacks are almost at full strength. But Murong Bo only laughs, stabs his sword into the ground, and then both his palms strike towards both sides at the same time. Flaming Palm, 110% power. Bam! The two people's palms collide with Murong Bo at the same time. However, the two of them were actually sent flying. The two people somersaulted in the air and once again land on the ground. Murong Bo's left hand is frozen, and his right hand is pierced by the Azura sword chi. But Murong Bo just takes a breath. A large amount of vitality is sucked out from the villa, into his mouth, and into his dantian. The wounds on his body immediately begin to heal, as if he was never injured. 9 Buddha Sutra? Jiang Feng frowns. Old thief, you really mastered this technique. Yeah, I still have to thank you for helping me catch so many devil sect dogs. Murongbo chuckled and said, after doing so many experiments on them, I was able to rely on the remnant page and successfully practice this divine technique. You will suffer retribution. Li Fan coldly looked at Murong's blog and bluntly cursed her. I've roamed the Jianghu for a long time. When have I ever had retribution? Murong spread her arms and proudly said, besides, those are the scum of the devil sect. What's the big deal about killing them? Hihi, if you have the ability, why don't you go and kill that martial emperor? Li Fan mocked, do you dare? Old dog. Brat, don't try to provoke me with words. Murongbo said coldly, the martial emperor's ambition is to conquer the world. He promised me China's empire. You want to stop a chariot with just the likes of you? You're overestimating yourselves. Scum through and through. Jiang Feng could not stop cursing. His hatred for Murong could not be described with word. Jiang Feng, you ingrate, you must die today. Li Fan, I can spare your life. You are the person that the martial emperor wants. I will only break your limbs and turn you into a dead dog. Ha ha ha. Cut the crap. Li Fan's right hand turned into a blade and condensed the power of thunder and lightning. Thunder Dragon Bombardment, 100% power. 2 dragons playing with pearls, 100% power. Between Li Fan and Jiang Feng, one threw out the thunder and lightning blade while the other sent out 2 Azura sword chi, aiming straight at Murongbo Humph. Murongbo once again raised her sword and blocked Li Fan's thunder and lightning blade. This thunder and lightning blade immediately smashed the nearby roof and then bounced into the air. As for the 2 sword chis, they were smashed by Murongbo's flame palm. This old man's fighting strength is really amazing. Relying on his undying evil technique, he is simply unparalleled. Li Fan, don't hold back anymore. Use your full strength. Jiang Feng knew that it was impossible to win if this went on. He urged Li Fan and entered Azura's wrath. Jiang Feng's body expanded again and turned into the Azura tiger. Level 3 martial god. Li Fan used dragon capturing art and sucked the hero's sword into his hand. At the same time, he poured his primal chi into it and threw it out. A black dragon flew into the air and surrounded Murongbo 9 returned to 110% power. Azure dragon penetrates the sun, 110% power. Millions of blood-red Azura sword chi surrounded Murongbo. Li Fan's black dragon also descended from the sky and went straight for Murongbo's head. Ha ha ha, good timing. Murongbo laughed. He did not dodge or retreat. He opened his mouth and activated the yin energy in his body. Be it the black dragon or the Azura sword chi, they were all sucked into Murongbo's mouth. Dang! The black sword fell to the ground and stabbed into the stage. The sword chi that filled the sky was also sucked clean. Not a single one was left. Damn, this old dog is not picky at all. Li Fan could not help but exclaim. Jiang Feng's eyes were bloodshot and his face was pale. The Azura sword chi that even Imperial concubine Ju could not absorb was eaten by Murongbo. His evil technique is even more powerful than Imperial concubine Ju's. Kid, you're a level 3 martial god, right? After Murongbo absorbed the energy, he looked at Li Fan and laughed weirdly. I couldn't find the technique, so it turns out that you have a second dantian. As he spoke, he extended his hand and a minister-level officer of the royal army was sucked into his hand. I'll borrow your dantian for a moment. Saying this, he grabbed the royal army officer's dantian with one hand and sucked it. His other hand, however, was holding onto the sword, and he threw it away. The sword flew in the air, its surface covered in a fierce fiery sword chi. Soon, a crimson sword appeared in the air. It was 10 meters long and 2 meters wide. Its surface was scorching hot, causing the surrounding air to distort. Li Fan and Jiang Feng were shocked. Murongbo, this old dog, had used someone else's dantian to forcefully increase his cultivation to the level of a level 3 martial god, allowing him to create a giant sword made of yin energy. This old dog, He was too terrifying. A level 3 martial god was able to do it with a single glance. How many people in the world could possess such strength? Take this. Murong Bo pointed his finger downward, causing the giant fiery sword to descend from the sky, slashing at Li Fan and Jiang Feng. Jiang Feng turned around and left. Li Fan turned around and saw the disciples of the 7 heroes standing behind him. He took a deep breath and pulled out his hero's sword, raising it up. Dragon subduing sword, dragon ascending the 9 heavens, 11%. The black dragon flew out once again. It opened its mouth and grabbed the giant sword, blocking the falling sword. Murong Bo chuckled, as if he was not bothered by it. Meanwhile, Li Fan's face was slightly pale. The life chi on his sword was being absorbed by the yin energy on Murong Bo's sword. As the dragon's body slowly shrunk, the giant sword gradually fell to the ground. Li Fan's forehead was covered in cold sweat. His life chi could not afford to be consumed like this. Li Fan barely managed to free one of his hands and took out a bottle of energy replenishing pills. He poured the pills into his mouth and swallowed them like candy. Chapter 1347. Murong Bo wrinkled his brows. Li Fan opened a medicine store, but he was eating such a good pill like it was candy. This is too wasteful. This alchemist Luo Xiaofeng should be a helper that my daughter found for him. After the 7 Knights Villa is destroyed, that Luo Xiaofeng will naturally be under my control. Even if he takes some pills, how long can he last? Murong's ridicule is not without reason. His yin qi is getting thicker and thicker while Li Fan's true qi is constantly decreasing. Even if he takes so many true qi pills, it is still not enough to make up for this intense consumption. As time goes by, Murong's giant sword once again presses down. Murong, old thief, hand over your life. Jiang Feng's figure suddenly appears behind Murong. At the same time, an Azura star picking technique hits Murong's back. After transforming into Azura tiger, Jiang Feng's speed and strength have increased by who knows how many times. Shameless Junior, you actually dare to sneak attack. Murong frowns and forcibly receives Jiang Feng's palm. With a boom, 5 bloody holes appear on his chest. Jiang Feng's star-picking technique is absolutely ruthless. However, Murong Bo was still standing there. He took 2 deep breaths, and unexpectedly, his injuries were quickly healed. At the same time, his back sucks on Jiang Feng's palm, causing Jiang Feng's expression to change. Since you're here, then don't leave. Murong laughs. He firmly sucks on the 2 people's power, not wanting to let either of them go. Li Fan, quickly think of a way. Jiang Feng frowns and yells at Li Fan, if this goes on, both of us will be finished. This old man's martial arts is very evil. Li Fan says, I'm going to take a risk. You better hold on. At this moment, he can only fight with this old dog. Little bastard, facing my absolute strength, do you still have any tricks up your sleeve? Murong sneers, a mere insect still wants to turn the tables. It's hard to say who's the worm. As Li Fan spoke, he controlled the dragon sword with both hands and unleashed a new move. Dragon engulfing all elephants, 110% power. The black dragon, who had been pushing the sword upwards, suddenly sucked in air. Murong's expression changed. She stared at Li Fan with widened eyes. How dare you? What? You're allowed to absorb other people's power, but I'm not allowed to. Li Fan sneered, old dog, let's try and see who's stronger. As soon as Li Fan said it, he regretted it. Damn it, it's really uncomfortable to listen to it. These words are ambiguous. Bah, bah, bah. Courting death. Murong's Weibo eyes narrowed, a single spark dares to compete with the sun and moon. The 2 of them displayed their divine abilities, using the dragon and the sword as the base, absorbing each other's power. In this way, the 2 of them are like a tug-of-war, desperately pulling each other's power for their own use. Murong snorted coldly, and looked at his daughter. Xiao Ying, quickly come and help me. After killing these 2 traitors, our Murong family will be able to shine again. When Murong Ying heard this, her delicate body instantly froze. Oh no, they are going to harm husband. Chun who was dealing with the enemy, immediately became anxious when she heard this. Kill them. Xia held her sword, and was about to turn around to help. However, many experts from Murong's villa surrounded them, making it impossible for them to help. Moreover, these Murong's death warriors were very smart. They could see that the four of them had a powerful sword formation, so they used human lives to exchange for it, separating the four of them. The four sword servants were as anxious as ants on a hot pan, while Murong Ying stood there blankly, in a dilemma, not knowing what to do. Xiao Ying, don't forget, you are a member of my Murong family. Murong urged, you are carrying the burden of the Murong family. Stop being sentimental, it is time for you to make a choice. Murong glared at his daughter. Chapter 1348. Murong Ying is stunned. Make a choice. Murong Ying stands there and stares at them blankly. The dignified martial arts alliance master, at this moment, appears to be like a little girl, hesitating. What are you waiting for? Murong Bo roars, quickly kill him. Murong Ying holds her sword and frowns, her eyes seem to be in pain. At this moment, she seems to hate herself for being a member of Murong's family. If she is not a member of Murong's family, she and Li Fan will not become like this today. Really, fate makes fools of people. Murong Ying, you don't have to hesitate. Li Fan does not look at Murong Ying, his eyes have been staring at his nemesis. Murong Bo, if you want to cut me, then cut me, I will not hate you. In Li Fan's mind, he has long understood that the grudge between the two families will not be resolved because of a love affair. Sister, don't. Seeing Murong Ying slowly raise her sword, Murong Ari, who was engaged in a chaotic battle, let out a heart-wrenching cry. Shut up, you unfilial daughter. Murong Bo roars angrily. But Murong Ying looks at Li Fan and seems to have made up her mind. Sorry, Li Fan. I, after all, am a member of Murong's family. Murong Ying raises her sword, looks at Li Fan, and says word by word, but I, Murong Ying, will always be your wife. Even if you die, I will never marry. Good, good. This is my good daughter. Murong Bo laughs happily, but looking at Murong Ying, she is biting her lips, and her eyes are glowing red. Her long, jet-black hair instantly turned into 3,000 strands of silver. Her hair had actually turned white. 2 streaks of bloody tears flowed from her eyes. Xiao Ying. Seeing Murong Ying in such a state, Murong Bo was also stunned. Then, she felt sorry for her. He's just a man, there's no need to worry about him, he shouldn't be alive, kill him quickly. Murong's Weibo urged again. Tai Bai Jinxing was watching from the side with a cold smile on his face. Murong Ying finally walked over and stood in front of Li Fan. Li Fan did not look at her, nor could he bear to look at her. He knew that even if Murong Ying stabbed him with her sword, he probably wouldn't be able to hate her. Xiaohu, Xiaoye, I'll leave the 7 Knights Villa to you. Li Fan seemed to be saying his last words, while the Xiaohu and Jiang Yi's eyes were red. The two of them wanted to rush over, but the men of sacrifice trained by Murong's family were too powerful. Each of them felt no pain, were not afraid of death, and had strange skills, forcibly blocked their path. Ha ha ha, Li Fan, just die. Murong Bo laughed loudly, while Murong Ying's sword directly pierced through Li Fan's chest. Poochie. This sword did not deviate at all, and it pierced right through Li Fan's heart. At this moment, Li Fan finally understood what it meant to feel sorry. Murong Ying stood there, her body trembling, and bloody tears flowed non-stop. Plop. The 2 women, Murong Ari and Liao Wushuang, as well as Imperial concubine Ju, all fell directly to the ground with a plop. These 3 women were all planted with Li Fan's Yin Huan voodoo. When Li Fan's chest was pierced, their pain doubled, and they all fainted. Xiao Ari. What's going on? When Murong Bo saw his daughter suddenly fall down, he was immediately taken aback. In his heart, his daughter was like a treasure, incomparably important. Murong old dog. Blood dripped from the corner of Li Fan's mouth, but he still maintained his dragon swallowing all things. He looked at Murong Bo and sneered, I and Murong love the same kind of Yin Huan voodoo. If I die, she won't live either. If you want to kill me, you will lose your daughter. No, impossible. Murong Ying took 2 steps back. She let go of the sword and directly pounced on Murong Ari. Bastard! Give me back my daughter! Murong Bo roared. Under this strong stimulation, his strength actually increased a bit, directly breaking the entanglement between Li Fan and Jiang Feng. Jiang Feng was shaken to the side and fell to the ground. Shui Wuxin, who rushed out of the crowd, caught him. "Milord, how are you?" Jiang Feng slowly dispersed the Azura Qi on his body, restoring his original scholarly appearance. He looked at Li Fan, who was being beaten up by Murong Bo, and snorted in regret. He actually died for a woman, what an idiot. "Milord, what should we do? Li Fan is dead, there's no point in us staying here. Let's retreat." Jiang Feng pointed at Adam. "Bring those pieces of trash along as well." "Yes." Shui Wuxin commanded his men to take Adam and the others, fighting while retreating toward the road down the mountain. At this moment, Li Fan was lying on the ground, suffering from Murong Bo's heavy blows. Murong Bo's palm after palm landed on Li Fan's body, causing Li Fan to continuously vomit blood. With his heart pierced, it seemed like Li Fan would not be able to survive. But Murong Bo obviously did not intend to let Li Fan go. He was still angrily whipping the corpse. "Use your martial arts to accompany my daughter in death," Murong Bo said, placed his palm on Li Fan's dantian, and activated the absorption technique. At this time, Li Fan suddenly opened his eyes and grabbed Murong Bo's arm. "Murong old dog, your time of death has come." "What?" Murong Bo's eyes widened. He obviously did not expect that Li Fan was still alive. His heart was pierced. How could he not die? Puff. Li Fan suddenly spat out a thunder sword from his mouth, heading straight for Murong Bo. Murong Bo's hair all over his body trembled. He subconsciously wanted to dodge, but Li Fan's hands grabbed his arm tightly, making Murong Bo unable to dodge. At the same time, his palm was also sucked in by Li Fan's dantian. He could not pull it out no matter how he tried. Crack. Murong Bo was indeed Murong Bo. At this moment, he actually broke his right arm, dodged the thunder sword, and retreated more than 10 meters away. Li Fan slowly stood up. Murong Bo's arm was actually swallowed by the black tentacles that flew out from Li Fan's body. It was digested cleanly in an instant, healing Li Fan's wound. "Li Fan, how dare you trick me?" Murong Bo glared at Li Fan furiously after losing his arm. "So what?" A complacent sneer hung on the corner of Li Fan's mouth. Murong Bo was truly too strong. His move of putting himself at death's door and coming back to life made Murong Bo suffer a big loss. "It's only an arm. Do you think it's going to affect me?" Murong Bo had practiced the 9 Buddha true scriptures, thus he was able to absorb life force to repair his flesh. "Do you think I'll give you a chance to recover?" As Li Fan spoke, his body unknowingly appeared behind Murong Bo. Evil Dragon steals the moon. Li Fan lashed out with a kick. A black dragon appeared under Li Fan's feet. He had finally comprehended the swordless state from the 3rd layer martial god realm. With a black dragon in his leg, he kicked towards Murong. "No." Murong Ying suddenly blocked in front of Li Fan, blocking his path. "Get out of my way!" Li Fan roared. Courting death. Li Fan's leg increased in speed, and the air was filled with the roar of a dragon. Murong Ying seemed to have made up her mind. Not only did she not dodge, she opened her arms, closed her eyes, and a relieved smile appeared on her face. "Stupid woman." Li Fan frowned as he forcefully retracted his leg in the air. For a moment, his essence flowed in the opposite direction, and attacked his heart meridian. He fell to the ground, and blood dripped from the corner of his mouth. This move had caused his heart meridian to be damaged. The chance is here. Tai Bai Jinxing, who had been waiting for a long time, suddenly had his eyes lit up, and instantly jumped towards Li Fan. "Brat, return with me." Tai Bai Jinxing sneered, and his palm was about to land on Li Fan's body. But at this moment, 4 swords formed into a long dragon, and instantly blocked in front of him. Tai Bai Jinxing retracted his body, and with a kick, he kicked away the dragon sword, and flew out, looking at the 4 beautiful sword maids blocking in front of him. "Are you guys courting death?" Tai-Bai Jinxing coldly rebuked. "You're the one courting death." Xia sneered. Azure Dragon Sword Formation. Chun-Er and her sisters activated the Azure Dragon Sword Formation, and the 4 swords entangled Tai-Bai Jinxing. Although Tai-Bai Jinxing was also a half-saint, the 4 sisters' sword formation was extremely strange, and for a moment, Tai-Bai Jinxing was helpless. At this moment, Murong Bo sat up, and looked at Murong Ying in front of him, and a trace of ruthlessness flashed in his eyes. "Murong Ying, come over here," Murong Bo said, and with a stretch of his hand, Murong Ying directly slid backwards, and Murong Bo grabbed her shoulder. "Father, what are you doing?" Murong Ying was somewhat shocked. That brat Li Fan's ruthlessness exceeded my expectations. Now that I'm seriously injured, I'm afraid this Murong Manor can no longer rely on me. Murong Bo had already made his decision, and he exerted force in his palm, making it impossible for Murong Ying to break free. "From today onwards, you are the Manor Lord of Murong Manor. Remember, take revenge for me." As he spoke, Murong Bo's boundless inner force actually poured endlessly into Murong Ying's body. His body cultivated Yin Qi, while Murong Ying's body cultivated Yuan Qi that was refined by Li Fan. The moment the inner force poured in, it was like muddy water pouring into a pond, causing Murong Ying to feel extreme pain. How strong was Murong Bo? Half-saint. Murong Ying herself was also close to the strength of a half-saint. At this moment, Murong Bo poured all his strength into Murong Ying's body, causing the veins on her forehead to bulge, but she was unable to resist. In just a few breaths, Murong Bo's hair had turned grey, and his skin was shriveled, like an old man with one foot in the grave. He poured all his inner force into Murong Ying's body, and a trace of gratification appeared in his eyes. "I had no choice but to lower myself to someone else. Now that you have the ability to soar into the sky, let that martial monarch go to hell. Remember, take down the #1 spot in the world and take revenge for me. If you and that brat Li Fan get along, then even if I become a ghost, I won't be satisfied." After saying these 2 last words, Murong Bo was finally exhausted. He let out his last breath, and with a kick of his legs, he fell to the ground and died. Oh no! Tai-Bai Jinxing felt that something was wrong. If Murong Ying completely digested Murong Bo's inner force, she would probably become the biggest enemy of the martial imperial palace. Without hesitation, he risked getting injured to get rid of the 4 sword servants, pulled out the big sword behind him, and then stabbed Murong Ying. Shenyuan swordsmanship, 1 sword to conquer the 9 provinces, 100% power. This sword quickly arrived in front of Murong Ying, and Murong Ying suddenly opened her eyes. Right now, her eyes were actually golden in color. Clang! Murong Ying just raised a finger and touched the tip of the sword. Crack! The sword, which was unknown, was directly shattered, and Tai-Bai Jinxing was hit by the huge force. He blacked out, spat out a mouthful of blood, and flew out. Martial Imperial Palace, damn it! Murong Ying scolded, but she quickly frowned again. Obviously, the power in her body had not been completely dissolved. "I can't stay here for long." Tai-Bai Jinxing felt that something was wrong, and his eyes fell on other places. Chapter 1350. Saint Tier. In today's pugilistic world, it has been a long time since someone of this level has appeared. To become a Saint Tier, one must possess the strength of 100 dragons. However, it is extremely difficult to possess such power. This is not a rank that can be reached through bitter cultivation. For a martial fighter to cultivate internal strength and work hard for their entire life, it is already not bad to be able to enter the 10 Dragons Grandmaster realm. If one works a little harder and has some fortuitous encounters, it is also possible to gather 50 dragons in the Dantian and enter the Half-Saint realm. However, this Half-Saint realm has already made most martial fighters despair. And it is basically impossible to surpass the Half-Saint realm. For example, Li Fan's Dantian is already saturated after storing 50 dragons' strength. No matter how he cultivates, his Dantian can no longer store any more power. And it is even more impossible to break through this shackle and achieve the strength of 100 dragons. However, it is possible to find another way to cultivate a second dantian. However, the power of the two dantians is a parallel line and does not affect each other. Even if they both cultivate to the half-saint realm, they cannot be added together to truly step into the saint tier. In the current pugilistic world, not to mention the saint tier, even the half-saint tier is only a legend. Even Imperial concubine Ju did not manage to enter the saint tier. This is too scary. Guan Wenbao and the others looked at Murongying's figure and could not help but be shocked. This is the saint tier. Li Fan also looked at his fiancée, his eyes flowing with extraordinary splendor. Li Fan, save me. At this time, a cry for help came from the side. Li Fan turned his head, his eyes wide open. Tai Bai Jinxing, seeing that his sneak attack on Murongying failed, actually kidnapped Liao Wushuang and jumped down the cliff behind him. Stay here. Li Fan's feet bounced, like lightning, he chased after Tai Bai Jinxing. See you at the Martial God Hall. Tai Bai Jinxing's body is like a meteor, using some unknown technique, with a few teleportation, he disappeared from Li Fan's sight in the blink of an eye. Stop. Li Fan wanted to give chase, but the moment he activated his inner force, his body felt like it was overturning the seas and rivers. He immediately knelt on the ground, blood dripping from the corner of his mouth. Just now, his internal energy had flowed backward and injured his meridians. Now, his internal energy was not flowing smoothly. Whenever he tried to circulate his internal energy, he would feel his meridians breaking. Therefore, he could only watch as Tai Bai Jinxing ran away with Liao Wushuang. Damn it! Li Fan smashed his fist on the ground. His hand was covered in blood. This time, he suffered a great loss. 10 Murong Bo is not as important as 1 Liao Wushuang. Don't worry. Xia Yi squatted beside Li Fan and hugged his shoulders gently. Sister Wushuang is Liao Ju's daughter. I don't think she will do anything to her. Martial Imperial Hall, I won't rest until these fellows are dead. From the very beginning, the Martial Imperial Hall had designs on him. Not only did they fail to deal with him, they even kidnapped Liao Wushuang. At this time, the people from Seven Knights Villa were still fighting with Murong's men of sacrifice. At this time, Murongying suddenly raised her hand and shouted. Stop! Her voice was not loud, but it was filled with internal energy. For a moment, it reverberated in everyone's ears, causing pain in their ears and blackening their vision. Only Murongying would be able to display such inner force. Li Fan took the rejuvenation pills from Xia Yi's hand and stuffed a few into his mouth. He stood up and looked at the white-haired Murongying in front of him. Murongying, what else do you want? Murongying looked at Li Fan. Her eyes seemed to be in a trance. But it only lasted for a moment. Soon, she returned to her usual cold appearance. Today's attack on Seven Knights Villa was instigated by the Martial Imperial Hall. I, Murong Villa, do not make weapons for others. You want to retreat? Li Fan could tell that Murongying was intentionally letting him have his way today. Murongying, you saw it too. The pugilistic world is in turmoil. The Martial Imperial Hall and the Eight-Nation Alliance are eyeing us covetously. If we continue to fight, it will only cause internal friction, and then outsiders will succeed. Clang! Before Li Fan could finish his words, a sword stabbed into the ground at his feet. Li Fan, I'm afraid we can't be together because of the blood feud between us. As she spoke, Murongying reached out and cut her long hair in two. The goddess's waist-length hair was chopped down to her shoulders. Murongying threw the 3,000 silver threads in front of Li Fan. Our friendship is like this worry. Today, I'll cut it off. When we meet again in the future, it will be a fight to the death. Li Fan felt bitter in his heart and laughed at himself. Ever since I was harmed by your father, when have we met and got along well? Enough. Murongying shouted and interrupted Li Fan's words. We have different standpoints. Let's not talk about this. I've received your kindness. I'll return this vital energy to you. As she spoke, Murongying's hair fluttered. Suddenly, a myriad of vital energy rushed out from her body and pierced through the sky, injecting into Li Fan's body through the air. After the vital energy was injected, The inner force in Li Fan's body swelled and collided in his dantian, as if trying to find a place to break through. Although she returned this power to Li Fan, Mu Rongying already had the strength of a martial sage. She could cultivate back the inner force that she lacked in the future. Murong's disciple, listen up, follow me down the mountain. Yes. The death warriors of the Murong family now followed Mu Rongying's lead. After Mu Rongying finished what she needed to do, she picked up her father's corpse and without looking back, went down the mountain with a group of Murong family disciples. Li Fan looked at the corpses of the Seven Knights villa and could not help but sigh deeply. Originally, he thought that it was just a group of clowns from the Eight-Nation Alliance army coming to cause trouble. He did not expect that in the end, it would set off a heaven-shaking battle. From the beginning, it turned into a fierce battle between the Seven Knights villa, the Imperial Army and the Murong villa. If not for the villa's abundant martial force, perhaps this time, it would really be a disaster. Villa Master, we did not protect you well enough. Please punish us. Guan Wenbao and the others saw through Li Fan's thoughts and all knelt down in front of Li Fan. The entire villa knelt down. It was a spectacular sight. Forget it. This is also a lesson for us. Li Fan waved his hand. In just a day, he seemed to have grown a lot. From today onwards, the inner disciples of the Seven Knights villa must cultivate diligently and cannot waste their time. In front of a strong enemy, even I do not have the time to be lazy. Moreover, the Seven Knights villa will form the Seven Knights Sword Guards. My 4 great sword guards will teach you the sword formation method. Chun-Er, what do you think? As you command, husband. Chun-Er also knelt there and nodded. All right, everyone, get up. I am not an emperor, there is no need to kneel to me. The Martial Imperial Palace asked me to go, I still have to save Wushuang. Villa Master, when are you leaving? Xia, who quickly asked about Li Fan's schedule. There is no hurry. I need to go into seclusion for a month. When I come out, it will be the day we fight the Martial God Palace. Chapter 1351. The Seven Knights Villa was reopened, and the previous battle seemed to have never happened. There were still many tourists here, and the place was still bustling with noise. The higher-ups also did not say anything about the invasion of the 8 countries. After all, no one was proud of this battle. Only General Ran and his faction were very happy. As long as they could protect Dragon God No. 1, everything else was negotiable. The purpose of the 8 countries did not need to be made clear. Everyone knew in their hearts. Li Fan was also the last support of General Ran and the others. As long as Dragon God No. 1 was in the sky, then the Eagle faction would be able to win the final victory, and those people in the upper echelons would also be eliminated. Therefore, Dragon God No. 1 was extremely important. No matter the price, it must be kept. However, the appearance of the Martial Emperor Palace also made General Ran and the others vigilant. The Martial Emperor belonged to a self-proclaimed lineage and was known as the Martial Emperor. A long time ago, the current emperor had tried his best to get rid of this civilian organization. There could only be one ruler in a country. And every generation of the Martial Emperor had great ambitions. The small Jianghu could not satisfy their ambitions at all. Now that the Martial Emperor was going to return to the Jianghu, General Ran and the others were also worried. However, this matter naturally had to be solved by Li Fan, the Guardian of China. Everything was waiting for Li Fan to come out of seclusion. At this time, Li Fan was sitting quietly in the secret room, feeling the primordial qi in his body. Last time, when Mu Rongying returned the primordial qi in her body to him, there was a little bit of yin qi. It was this little bit of yin qi that made Li Fan feel a little different. The reason why Mu Rongying could break through to the martial saint realm was because of 2 reasons. One was Li Fan's primordial qi, and the other was the yin qi in Mu Rongbo's body. If one wanted to break through to the martial saint realm, it was impossible to simply cultivate one kind of inner force. Another kind of top-notch inner force was needed to break through the human limit together, so that one's strength could reach the martial saint realm. How could ordinary martial artists know about this kind of thing? Especially after reaching the half-saint realm, He had been refining his internal energy day and night. He had never imagined that he would need the assistance of peak internal energy of other attributes to break through. Murong Ying discovered this and used this method to tell him, "This woman never speaks from her heart." It was impossible to cultivate two top-notch internal energies at the same time with just one dantian. Fortunately, Li Fan had a second dantian in his body. He sent the yin qi into the second dantian and used it to cultivate the power of the yin qi. Let's wait until after the battle with the martial god palace. I'll talk to Master and let us go down the mountain to train. Le Xiaohu clapped his hands. It's decided then. Come, let me try your dragon subduing sword technique. What? You only learned 10% of Master's dragon subduing platform, and you want to spar with me? Jiang Yi raised her eyebrows. I know you're strong, but I'm not any weaker than you. Although I have yet to figure out how to break through to the second level of the martial god realm, I've already mastered 50% of the dragon subduing platform's leg technique. You're bragging a little too much. Jiang Yi rolled her eyes. Le Xiaohu did not speak. His figure suddenly flickered and disappeared in front of Jiang Yi. Huh! Jiang Yi was a little surprised. Le Xiaohu appeared behind her and kicked the back of Jiang Yi's head with the evil dragon steals the moon. However, Jiang Yi was not careless. She did not even turn her head. With a backhand slash, she headed straight for Le Xiaohu. However, Jiang Yi's sure-hit strike had actually missed. At the same time, the floor under her feet suddenly disappeared, causing Jiang Yi to lose her balance and stagger. Without waiting for Jiang Yi to stabilize his body, Le Xiaohu appeared again and gave a side kick. This time, his foot stopped right beside Zhang Ye's ear. The strong wind swept across Zhang Ye's face and cracked his mask, revealing a delicate and beautiful face. You cheated. Jiang Yi was unconvinced. You used your ability. This is also one of my fighting styles. Le Xiaohu said without a care, since you have it, you can use it too. I can't be bothered with you. While the two were quarreling, a commotion suddenly came from the foot of the mountain. A villa disciple hurried up and walked towards the main hall, but was stopped by Le Xiaohu. What's the panic? Not good, Chief. The 8-Nation Coalition Army is here again. Chapter 1352. After Adam returned in a sorry state, he was severely reprimanded. The plan to seize the controller of Dragon God Number 1 should not have failed, and it could not fail. In the end, Adam, as the leader of Team A, led the elites of the various countries, but in the end, he became a laughable spectator. He even fled in such a sorry state. It was simply a disgrace to America. So this time, Adam came prepared. After learning about Li Fan's exceptional combat prowess, Adam was much more vigilant this time. He applied for the highest combat order. This time, other than the elites of the 8 nations, he had also brought along the strongest combat power of the United States, the third-generation chip, Zeus. With this Zeus chip, Adam believed that even if the creator of the Golden Empire was resurrected, he would be able to kill him again. Moreover, these ignorant Chinese martial artists. So what if they knew some martial arts? He would immediately let them know what absolute power was. This time, Adam brought over 100 people and aggressively went to the Seven Knights Mountain Villa, preparing to seize the controller of Dragon God Number 1 again. Adam, are you guys done? Xia Yi looked at the foreign devils in front of her and could not help but frown. Do you think our villa is your backyard that you can come and go as you please? How can you speak in front of Secretary Li? At this time, a few Chinese officials who came with them spoke first. A few people surrounded a middle-aged man in a Chinese tunic suit. Many people fought to hold umbrellas for this man to shade him from the sun. It seemed that he was not a minor official. An official shouted at Xia Yi. He is the Secretary General of our Provincial Party Committee. Li Sen Liu WNR stood beside Xia Yi and transmitted a message to her. Xia Yi slightly frowned. She did not expect that even such an official would come. It was really surprising. However, it seemed that this Secretary General Li was a dove. Otherwise, why would he come to this place? Xiaoshu, I have a meeting in the afternoon, so I can't accompany the representatives. Treat them well and don't neglect the representatives, understand? Li Sen looked at Xia Yi and did not say anything else. He turned around and went down the mountain, leaving only the official surnamed Shu to accompany Adam. Did you hear that? Secretary General Li said to treat the representatives well. The one surnamed Shu was a section chief. As soon as Li Sen left, he immediately swaggered around and shouted at Xia Yi. Strange, what does it have to do with me? Xia Kai pursed her lips. I won't rely on flattering him to get promoted or get rich. Why should I listen to him? If you want to entertain them, you can open a manor to entertain them. Li Fan's Shongfang sword had an official position. Even in the army, he had the title of major. Moreover, he held the power of life and death, so he was never afraid of political officials. Xia, who also smiled, I want to know what kind of unconventional method it is. Since we can't use reason, we naturally have to use force. Adam frowned. Interesting. A defeated general dares to speak so bravely? Xia, who ridiculed, if not for the royal army saving you last time, you would have been crippled. Even now, you still dare to act presumptuously in my manner. The current me is not the same as before. Adam coldly looked at Xia, who, I advise you to let us in immediately and let us take a look around the manor. Otherwise, I will have to use my last resort. As he said that, Adam stretched out his right hand. A bolt of blue lightning suddenly appeared in his palm. The lightning arcs began to distort. Ability? Xia, who frowned. Could it be that this Adam is also a mutant? That's impossible. Mutants are all wanted targets. Even the United States wouldn't dare to offend the world. Get out of the way. A powerful aura burst out from Adam's body. It actually caused Xia, who to take a step back. Chapter 1353. Xia Yi was a little surprised by Adam's powerful aura. Did this foreigner take some medicine after he went back? How did he become so strong all of a sudden? However, when she turned around, she saw that under Adam's white hairy skin, red blood vessels were faintly glowing. She immediately understood what was going on. This must be the work of the genetic chip. It can actually increase a person's potential to such a terrifying level. However, it should have also caused a certain degree of damage to the body. This kind of gene stimulation is definitely not the right way to do it. However, Chinese martial arts practitioners pursued both internal and external cultivation and the balance of yin and yang. They also needed to be down-to-earth and diligent. It seemed good to increase one's strength quickly in a short period of time, but it was inevitably harmful to the body. After all, it was just an unorthodox way. Although this kind of power was strong, it made all the martial artists in the Seven Knights Villa feel ashamed. Can you feel it? This is my strength, Adam said proudly. Not only me, but everyone behind me is also an extremely powerful warrior. We have the inheritance of the gods. How can you small Chinese martial artists fight against us? As he spoke, the people behind Adam also exuded a powerful aura, which slightly surprised Xia Yi. The technological power of the United States was really powerful. They had actually created such a group of peak experts. Adam seemed to have surpassed the Grandmaster level and was almost at the level of a semi-saint. Humans were really the most terrifying. Was this the creation of a god? Remember our name. We have a new organization. We will call it Gods of Dusk, Adam said arrogantly. In this organization, there are countless strong people. You can't imagine. Gods of Dusk was a new alliance of 8 countries. As China gradually became stronger, this alliance was still attracting more countries to join. At that time, no one could stop them. However, the premise of all this was that they had to destroy Dragon God number 1. They absolutely could not let this terrible weapon be shot into space. Otherwise, China would have the power to compete with the United States, which was absolutely impossible. Don't look down on the Chinese martial arts world. Xia Yi waved her hand, and the experts in the villa also walked out. Now, Old Guan and Yang Kai had begun to cultivate their pneuma. Their strength had also successfully broken through to the Grandmaster level, and they were slowly moving towards the half-saint level. Le Xiaohu and Jiang Yi, on the other hand, were still lingering at the peak of perfection. Their growth was already very fast, but their foundations were not solid enough. They still needed more training. Chen Junhua had just become a Grandmaster and was consolidating his strength. Supposedly, Subhuti, who was far away on the Li Clan island, had not only successfully broken through to become a Grandmaster of his generation, but had also successfully entered the Grandmaster level. As for Imperial concubine Ju of the villa, she was already a semi-sage. However, she had also been in closed-door training recently. The main reason was that she had been asleep for too long and had yet to recover the feeling of fighting back then. Thus, she planned to properly cultivate her martial skills. Recently, Luo Shuewu had temporarily joined the Seven Heroes Mountain Villa. She allowed the entire Yi sword to temporarily merge with the Seven Heroes Mountain Villa. Li Fan and Xia, who both knew that Luo Shuewu was only doing this to add some combat power to the Seven Knights Mountain Villa. With the help of Li Fan, Luo Shuewu also successfully entered the strength of a generation of masters. There were also a few experts under the Yi sword. Although Zhong Xiaotian had lost an arm, his martial arts were still very solid. He, Jin Jiumo, Knight Rain Tower, and Guo Mingming were all at the peak of perfection. As long as they were given some opportunities, they might be able to break through to the level of a generation of masters. This was also where Luo Shuewu's intelligence surpassed others. After joining the Seven Heroes Mountain Villa, she could learn the way to cultivate vitality. After cultivating vitality, the speed of cultivating internal strength could not be compared in a day. These people could be said to be the main combat power of the Seven Heroes Mountain Villa. The other ones were the four beautiful sword maids. Each of these four little beauties had the strength of a generation of masters. After they joined forces, the Four Emblems sword formation could even kill a semi-sage. Under Li Fan's instructions, the beautiful sword maids began to create the Seven Heroes sword guards. With the help of the vitality cultivation method and Luo Xiaofeng's medicinal pills, they had cultivated a total of 36 people. However, this was far from enough. According to Li Fan's plan, he wanted to create 108 people, which were the 36 celestial stars and 72 earthly fiends. The selection of the sword guards was extremely careful. Because of their amazing combat power, they had to be loyal to the mountain villa. If their talent was not good, they could be nurtured, but if their character was not good, it would be a big problem. Currently, the 36 Celestial Dipper Sword Guardians already had some achievements, and the 12 standing behind Xia who were even more outstanding. On average, each of them had strength at the peak of the ascension level, and it wouldn't be long before they broke through to the peak. In addition to the Four Emblems sword formation, Li Fan also simplified the dragon subduing sword technique and changed it into a set of 3 dragon subduing swords. He gave it to the sword guards to strengthen their individual combat power. The chaotic battle had completely woken up Li Fan. In the past, he always thought that he could protect the entire mountain villa by himself, but reality proved that he was wrong. He had to raise a strong army to be able to resist the invasion of outsiders. At this time, Adam came with his men to show off. As soon as they activated their aura, the entire mountain villa was immediately mobilized. The 36 swordsmen of the 7 heroes appeared together. Although they only had the strength of a peak expert, each of them had been personally trained by the 4 great sword servants. Moreover, they had fought a bloody battle, so their auras were not weaker than the auras of the warriors of the gods of dusk. Moreover, there were also top-notch experts like Guan Wenbao and Yang Kai. The mountain villa's aura instantly suppressed the aura of the gods of dusk. Adam snorted coldly. The Zeus system in his body was activated, and the 7 nanonuclei in his body immediately operated, providing Adam with a huge amount of energy. The aura of a half-step saint was quite strong. Adam's cold snort spread out and instantly broke through the aura of the 7 heroes mountain villa. Yang Kai and Guan Wenbao both groaned. They bore the brunt of the impact and felt the impact of the powerful aura. Their faces could not help but turn pale, and the blood in their bodies surged. In just a month, This Adam had gone from a good-for-nothing to such a strong cultivator. It seemed that America's so-called chip was indeed heaven-defying. The strength of a half-step saint was absolutely suppressive to a grandmaster. Yang Kai and Guan Wenbao were both mid-stage grandmasters, and there was still a big gap between them and a half-step saint. At this time, the 4 great sword servants were also not complete. Chun-Er was still accompanying the villa master in seclusion, and the remaining 3 sword servants could not form the 4 emblems sword formation. The 4 emblems sword formation was missing, and its power was greatly reduced. "You Chinese monkeys, who dares to fight with us?" Adam began to provoke. "You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.